We're live here on Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel, right on time, 17 minutes after the hour, to play As the Gods Demand. We're a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard, and skincare alchemy in the Bardic College of Content Creation. Our hope and desire is to help amazing designers find great players who love their games, and help amazing players find great designers whose games they can love. We do that in a lot of fun ways. The most fun of them all, the ultimate fun that we have, is sitting down with the designers and playing those games. Today we are playing As the Gods Demand, and we are playing it with Charlie Ferguson-Avery of Feral Indie Studios. It's a part of Zine Month. Actually, the entirety of Zine Month was contrived just so Charlie could fund this project and two others.
That's what it was. Yeah,
that's entirely what it was. The cat is out of the bag. Charlie, why
entirely self-serving.
and totally, I'm sure, worth the thousands of dollars that you made. Go ahead and tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online, and tell us a little bit about As the Gods Demand.
Hi. So, as Tony said, my name is Charles Ferguson-Avery. I am one half of Feral Indie Studio. We make basically illustrations, art, as well as smaller publications for tabletop role-playing and various other projects, sometimes comics. Currently, I'm working on, finished a zine called As the Gods Demand, which is a revision of the cleric, warlock, priest, etc. class, where instead of you getting your abilities just by leveling up, you have to earn them. And sometimes the things you have to do for your god and your deity can get a little bit weird. So, you can find that at Feral Indie Studio at itch.io. We are putting together some physical copies to send out to distributors, so be on the lookout for that, and follow me on at Charlie Fergaves on Twitter for more information as it becomes available.
Awesome. I am super excited to sit down and play. We're going to be using our house OSR system. Down we go for the core mechanics, but Charlie has done a hack of that to slide in the extra kind of clerical space that we're doing. For people who aren't familiar with As the Gods Demand, give us kind of the elevator pitch for how the supplement, I was going to say system, it is kind of a system, is written and what it's all about.
For Down We Go?
As the Gods Demand.
As the Gods Demand. So
the
normally,
thing you made, not the thing that I helped.
Right.
Make.
Yes. I was gonna say. I guess I can talk about your game, but so how As the Gods Demand works is there are miracles, which are effectively spells that you get from your god. You can only use these miracles as long as you follow the tenets of your god. You're able to cast those by gaining favor, which is by doing specific deeds like your god might want. Perhaps it's converting a heretic, perhaps it's setting somebody free, perhaps it's discovering a secret. You are trying to do this in order to gain favor, which you can then spend to cast these miracles. Now, at the beginning, you only get one miracle, but as time goes on, the more you adventure, you can undertake rites, rituals, quests, pilgrimages to gain more of these strange powers. They range in kind of ability and usability, and they all function more like tools. As well, they are all completely levelless. So,
awesome. Cool. I am super excited to play. I'm looking forward to it. Let's meet some of the other folks we're going to be playing with. Vic, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online, and let's go ahead and jump into telling us about the god that your character serves.
All right. I'm Vic. I make a lot. We just had this conversation. I make a lot of things to survive, and mostly they are scary things. My character serves, I'm gonna butcher this, Murtzsoul, right?
Mortisol, yes.
Murtzsoul. Grey gardeners operate outside shrines near graveyards and crypts, performing brutal rituals, burial rituals, and offering, wow, words, funerary service. I really always enjoy a good grave digger and death cultist in any game. And as soon as I saw that, and also the Pug Grey Gardener, I was like, oh, that's definitely what I'm about today.
100%. Awesome. I can't wait to see more about what happens. The Grey Gardener, you like jumped on it right away, and there's some pretty dope abilities, but so are all the rest of them.
I posted that at like 1:40 in the morning, and I think how many minutes later did you say just like Grey Gardener? Like,
not a lot. So no, I'm super excited about it. I think all of these are so good, though. Even when there were only 2 left when I picked, I had a hard time choosing between the 2. Let's meet our next player. That's Richard. Richard, tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online, and what god you serve.
I think you mean my character. So, but
either way.
Last one. Yeah. I'm Episcopalian, so yeah. Hey, I'm Richard. I am by day an instructional technology consultant working on tech writing and e-learning for colleges and universities. And by night, or really by day, when I have ideas and can get away with it, I'm also a game designer. I created Barrakeep and a couple of other things. You can find me on Twitter at rrookery or at ARR_ROO.
Awesome. And you got a game. Is Sherwood still funding?
Sherwood is still funding. It's going to be funding for a few more weeks. That's the nice thing about itch funding, is you kind of play it by ear.
Right.
You set the deadlines that work for you, and if you need to adjust them, you can adjust them. And it is funding alongside Dragon Maw Cave, which is a little funnel adventure for all kinds of D&D-ish style games.
Sweet. So. Super excited about all those things. I am going to be a worshiper both now and forever of the Sant Eskar. So I'm a weeping cleric. So we are known for. Wait, Richard, did we actually get to who your worship?
No, we didn't get to my character.
We'll come back to it. We'll come back to it in just a second. We are known as weeping clerics. We lead congregations, preaching the need to aid the sick and wounded while using our skills as healers to assist in infirmaries, almshouses, and barbers. And so we many buildings. That we work at our double as medical wards and are tended by the weeping clerics, who bear countless wounds in white linen robes stained with various humors. And so I'm all about this one. Tell us a little bit about being a wild walker, though, Richard.
I am a wild walker, and we are the holy nomads of Kil Anar. Am I saying that correct, Charlie?
Kianar, but yeah.
Kianar, okay.
It's all made up. It's all made up.
I'm playing Rory, who is a wild walker, and we are, like I said, the holy nomads. We cannot observe a written law, or we break our god's law. We cannot take lodging unless it's offered thrice, and we pay for nothing. We only barter, and we have to give away our monetary wealth because nothing can tie us down. So.
Like I said, I love all of these. It's also really fun to drop them, even though we're just using the core DWG system. Looking at some of the different pieces of the world that these would fit into has been super fun. That one, like, there's a group that is specifically like break every lock, free everything, that I'm like, yeah, a bunch of those people would be 100% be wild walkers. And so it's just some cool flavor that I love getting to explore. By the way, this whole project is absolutely beautiful. And like Charlie mentioned, you could head over to the Feral Indie Studio Itch. There's also a link right below us that'll take you right to the game, and I'll drop it in the chat as well. So I am super excited to play. Charlie, anything else we need to know before we go live? Otherwise, we'll cover safety tools and kick into it.
Nothing that I can think of. It will be. I will say the adventure will be pretty structured, just so we can get through the time pretty quickly.
Sure.
So we'll be pushing through that. There is also a little bit of a hidden role mechanic that I threw into this. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Right. I'm very excited. We always use Lines, Veils, and X card unless the system has another set of safety mechanics in play. The we always have a strong line against sexual violence here on the channel. Lines are things that may happen in the world of our game but don't happen in the course of our play. Veils are things that are addressed in a certain way during play, or that we just kind of move forward past quickly, touching on them lightly when they come up. And then the X card's the ability for any of us to say X, pause the game, identify an issue, and identify what it is, and then remove it from play and move forward in a different direction. We also use the open door policy, so you may see us eat, drink, need to get up. That's all normal. The show's still happening. We'll let you know if we're taking a break or anything like that. But with that said, does anybody want to name any lines or veils, or maybe give any kind of cautions about the type of character you have? Like, I'll say this, my character has some, by the way their deity works, has some self-harm elements that could be incorporated into it, or transferring harm back and forth to others. And so that is a thing for my class of cleric. But I don't know if anybody else has anything they want to name or any caution warnings they want to give.
I get gross, and I explicitly chose something that allows me to do that. And I feel like mold and anything to do with like taking bones apart, like deassembling freshly undead things, is a very common choice of mine, and I feel like that's a good warning. Is that a good way of phrasing that, everybody?
Some player character bleed happening here, and so
we'll say you provide an intimate touch to death.
There we go. Any other lines, veils, anything else anybody wants to note, though? Cool. Trey, I'm going to hand things over to you to take us into As the Gods Demand.
Sure thing. All right, so a little bit of setting for the adventure. A day north of the mountains and 3 days east of the plains sits the decrepit and lonely estate of Baron Waxwraith. One cold and rainy night, 3 pious travelers approach, each by their own means. And so I know we kind of did introductions, but let's give a little bit more of what each character looks like, how they get to the rainy, decrepit estate. So who would like to start?
I can go first. We see Thrag kind of silhouetted by a brief flash of lightning before they walk up to the torchlight, carrying around their waist kind of an extensive kit of supplies. But other than that, they are noted only by the white linen robes of their order, a somewhat overly vicious-looking knife at their waist that also kind of seems to be at odds with the rest of their ornamenture, and they've got like a weeping wound going down one of their arms. With them, they have another traveler who they seem to be supporting along the way. But who has no name, and I don't intend to have any importance to the story unless the GM tells me that they do. It actually seems as they approach that, like every once in a while, they will switch off who is supporting who. Like for the 100 yards up to the thing, it seems like for the first half, Thrag is supporting them, and then they are supporting him, and then as they arrive, Thrag seems to be kind of carrying them again. But yeah, that's good. That's stuff. That gives you some flavor.
The cleric of the Holy Wound approaches. And who else, whether with them or by their own means, travels? We'll go with Richard. Or,
No,
sorry.
no, I waited too long. Richard, go, please.
Richard, you're muted.
Oh, muted.
We will say that Rory is the person that Thrag is alternately supporting, which is possibly a slight bit of fraud, but only in a good-natured sense that, this guy seems tired, but he won't let me support him unless he thinks he's supporting me. And also, there are laws against fraud, and if I don't commit a little bit of fraud, then I'm not obeying the dictates of my god. And so there's a little bit of deceitfulness that's just required for daily living. But also, Thrag looks like could definitely use a little support, and certainly cannot tell under all these clothes that these traveling cloak and big hat, and the small hidden knife up my sleeve that's kind of obviously there. It's not a big sleeve, so it's kind of obvious that there's a knife there. And the very, very sadly empty purse at my side. So
Fair enough. The Wild Walker and the Weeping Cleric support themselves, which just leaves
Hearteeth, the Grey Gardener. Hearteeth looks as if they went into an antique store and then had everything assault them at once and then merge with them. So we have that nice, like, kind of folded texture that you always see, those little, at a tea party table, for example, parts and chunks of ceramics mixed with animal parts that seem to grow out of what believes to be a living coat. When I say living coat, it was damp and then bonded with again with creatures and all sorts of things. It's kind of slung over their shoulders and covering part of their head. The only thing that you really can see in the cast shadow of the hood is a very molded face and one single tooth that kind of sticks out very sharply and does not look or appear very human. Their eyes are, one of their eyes is just very pale and the other is a very ordinary brown that allows them to feel very human to those who are only just reaching the end of their life and their potential new undeath or rebuild.
fair enough.
Very natural. Hooray.
Supernatural. With that, these three pious travelers arrive at the Wax Wraith Estate. Why can't I just make simple names? So, champions of their respective gods, they have come by task or free will for one reason. In 3 days, a great and powerful relic will be delivered and inspected and divined whose god it belongs to. As of now, nobody is certain. That is why you were there. The Waxwraith Manor was chosen to be the neutral ground where these holy champions would meet. Yet only one will walk away with the relic. Each one of you arrive at the door. In the case of the Wild Walker, you have to be asked to enter 3 times. It's a little bit of a nuisance, but...
No, like, I'm like, let's go in, and they're like, no. And I'm like, no, come on, it's time.
But you step into the cold, barely lit manor, and at the head of these steps of the Great Hall enters Baron Waxwraith. We're just going to call him the Baron. They are a ghoulish figure as they step down in their crumbling manor. Their hair is dyed with some sort of ink to hide the gray hairs poking out. Their clothing, once regal and noble, is now ragged and disheveled, clearly in need of repairs. Their skin is sallow, and they hold a ghoulish smile on their face, one worn by people who pretend like everything is all right. They step down and they extend their arms wide and fanciful and say, "Greetings, holy travelers. I hope your expedition was well."
It was lovely. The weather is fantastic.
He just sort of like, kind of chuckles nervously. His eyes sort of darting from one to the other. Well, as you know, in 3 days' time, I believe the relic will arrive. In the meantime, I've prepared a fine banquet for the 3 of you this evening. As well, I have made sleeping arrangements. If you would be so kind to come to the dining hall, and he leads you to a door off to the side.
I go.
If it involves getting to lay down, then and sleep out under a roof, then I'm definitely going.
Fair enough.
Having heard that there was a banquet, there is a small box that is removed from my giant, like, bellowing jacket and placed gently outside and hoped not to make any sense. I didn't know that I needed to not bring gifts. And then just walks right in.
It's bones, isn't it?
It's not bones.
Not yet.
No,
It's treasures.
Oh god, it's teeth. He leads you into the quote-unquote Great Hall, which appears to just be the kitchen modified with
it's
a
a fine
table in it.
hall. It's a fine.
It's a fine, yeah. For us, it's like pretty good, but for a noble estate, ugh. The word banquet is also might be an exaggeration. There are some winter vegetables that have been boiled. There is also some meat, probably also boiled, and some sort of pasty substance that looks like brown mashed potatoes. In addition to that, there is a older, tight-lipped housekeeper scowling as they pour out glasses of what appears to be watered-down wine. The Baron sits at the head of the table as if nothing is amiss and points to each one of your seats, waiting for you to take your seats.
I take my seat. So I'm laughing about something I wrote on my character sheet that's about to matter.
As you take your seats, the housekeeper each provides you with a glass, scowling at each one of you while not making eye contact. The Baron takes a seat and beckons for you to eat if you so choose.
I weep gently into my dish to provide thanks for this, as well as just maybe a little bit of flavor to it, and then I pull out some herbs de Provence that I have in my bag, and I sprinkle them over the top. Because I wrote herbs de Provence for whatever reason on my character sheet, not knowing I was about to be confronted with tremendously bland boiled food.
Oh god, it all works out. The Baron looks at this with still holding that kind of ghoulish smile, their eyes open, clearly in shock, but not, and perhaps a little bit upset that you would dare to think that the food was not seasoned, but they say nothing and just sort of like nod. The housekeeper makes some sort of grunting noise behind you. At that point, the Baron makes his introductions, explains himself, and says that each one of you will have a room on the first floor of the main estate. He mentions that he himself will be staying in the South Tower. Sorry, there are 4 towers here. And he would ask you that you stay out of the East Tower as the roof has collapsed and the building is structurally unsound.
Sure.
He also asks... Oh, go ahead.
Those just sound like excellent reasons to stay out of a particular part of the building.
At that point, he asks you if you have any questions or concerns, and he also points to the weeping cleric, and under his breath, I hope the food is to your liking.
Real
which,
good.
By the way, nothing's seasoned.
Mine tastes fine.
It all somehow tastes like napkins.
What do you mean somehow?
Somehow. What type of napkin? What is there a brand here that we're,
If I had to pick, wet.
Wet napkins, nice.
I am going to see if I can pocket the firmest winter vegetable piece, the most undercooked bit, just in case I need a snack later.
Fair enough. You find what appears to be a chunk of either turnip or potato. You are unsure.
I will discover when I bite into it later tonight.
Fair enough.
Though, as boiled as they are, all the winter vegetables sort of taste like the other winter vegetables. So
That's actually kind of true.
with a thin film of potato over them.
This whole time I've been trying to not have anyone pay notice to what I'm doing, but I am very slowly mama birding, baby birding to a raccoon that is hiding directly under my armpit. And pretending I'm chewing and swallowing the whole time, but just slowly turning to my cloak and spitting for the raccoon.
At this point, the housekeeper leaves, and you hear the sound of a door slamming behind them.
I will say we do actually have mechanics for how animals work now in Down We Go too, because we didn't until Richard decided he had a badger at one point in time during an actual play.
Alex also had a pet.
Everybody had a pet in that one at the end, but I will say, we do actually have rules now. So you can by default name one command you can give your raccoon, unless it's just totally feral and you don't want to do that. That's fine.
The command is chew.
Okay.
There's no other answer.
Yes.
That's a pretty versatile command. I like it.
And we'll say at that point, the Baron, probably dealing with his own set of problems and feelings of, living in a fallen house, decides to leave. And with that, he bids you all a good night and heads off to his respective room. The table remains set, the food left there unattended.
He didn't eat?
He ate some, but
Okay.
then just left. Nobody's cleaning up the spread.
Oh, that's fine. I'm gonna. Is there like a low fire still going from wherever this was cooked? You said this was like kitchen/hall.
Yes, there is one fire in the kitchen, probably used to cook and warm whatever parts of the house are still functional.
Awesome.
Yes.
I ask if anybody wants me to actually cook their food for them.
Mine is very well cooked. Just
Oh yeah. Do you want me to put flavor on your food?
Yes, preferably cooked flavor.
There we go.
I feel like herbs need to be released when they're dried.
Yeah. So, is there any type of oil or fat nearby? I'm guessing probably no.
There is a chunk of gray suet nearby, and I will say that, like, with a little bit of time, you can spend the evening.
Yeah, I'll sear the food with some of the. I'll just give it flavor. Like, it's not hard to give food flavor, people. It's the process of carefully burning things while adding seasonings. It's not rocket science. And I
Spoken
I
like
do it.
a true Texan living in the North. It is not hard to flavor things.
not
I don't
hard to
know why
flavor
I don't know why you're so thoroughly opposed to it, but
It's not about the flavor; it's about the calories. We just need to get the food in us. Right?
So, also welcome Adventure Archive. We are playing as the Gods Demand using Down We Go. It's a levelless cleric system that you can drop into your favorite OSR or D&D style game to play very cool, very evocative clerical classes with no level restrictions. So thanks for joining us. Yeah. So yeah, after that, after anybody eats, we can go to bed.
Fair enough. I'll say if anybody has anything else they would like to do, you may all head to your respective rooms and seemingly try to get a night's sleep.
That's all I plan on doing.
Fair enough. All right.
I was going to sit up for a little bit just to sort of listen at what's going on in the castle as everybody heads to bed.
Fair enough. We'll say as you are sitting up, you can hear even like the slightest wind from the rainstorm outside causes the whole building to creak. Its floors, its walls, its beams groan. You can hear 1,000 drips echoing in the distance from all through this building. And it's at that point you realize that it's perhaps, aside from yourselves, only the Baron and the housekeeper live in this massive estate anymore. That is it. We'll say that each of you head to your respective bunks, and at this point, I'm going to need each of you to open up one of those little secret things. I'll announce who. So, preface for anybody listening, there's going to be a little bit of a hidden role thing in this. I've set it to the Discord, and now I'm going to help figure that out with everyone here.
So I should not put whatever I open up on the screen for at least
No.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So we'll say I'm going to give each of you a number. You will open up the respective secret. You will not announce anything. Try not to show anything on your face, and then we'll move on from there.
Well, I will point out, since none of us know what the other things are, whatever we show on our face will be inscrutable either way.
Yeah, fair enough. Just make this, just do. But we'll say Vic, you will open secret 1. Tony, you will open secret 2.
That's all I ever want.
And Richard, you will open secret 3. So go ahead and do that now. Read it, and just give me a thumbs up once you've read it.
Oh my!
I'm doing 2 thumbs up. I don't know what that means. I don't. All right, so moving on. Each of you, well, suppose that each of you gets a full night's sleep.
Some coffee first. What's up with the coffee you just brought home?
Except, well, no, we won't say that. You all awaken to the sound of a scream early in the morning. You are all roused from your beds. You may go see what the matter is. The shout seemingly came from the Baron.
Look, I don't know what the Baron does in the morning first thing. No, I will immediately head that way.
Fair enough. You enter the Great Hall, the room that you entered in when you first arrived, and you see that there is a trail of blood leading from the top of the steps all the way down to the bottom. Where deposited...
Pause. I didn't realize I had the wrong microphone on, so yes, I do need coffee. I just switched to the correct microphone, so I am not getting constant background noise and bleed. So I was recording some reviews earlier this morning, so I had the wrong microphone turned on.
I didn't even notice because I'm just used to bad sound quality on my end. Anyway, at the bottom of the stairs, at the end of the bloody trail, is the body of the housekeeper with a series of apparent knife wounds in her back. The Baron is over top of her, howling and shouting. The ink that he used to dye his hair is clearly running down his face and mixing in with the tears streaming down his face. He has a horrid mask on his face from this. He looks at the 3 of you, babbling incoherently.
I believe Chief would... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Go up immediately and be like, so we need to solve this very quickly. I will take them out. I will carry them for you to the yard.
He throws himself over top of the body, just shouting, no, and then followed by screaming at the top of his lungs, who did this, while giving each of you a shifty, dagger-like glance.
I perform my duties.
I wrap my arms around them and just hug them deeply.
The hug does seem to calm them down, and now they are just sort of like hiccuping sobs. It does. You have the holy touch of a healing cleric.
So I know that they had like a kind of a sallow, like, hey, they were trying to make it seem like everything is right. Do I sense in them that they are medically afflicted or just tremendously nervous and uncomfortable, like from the night before and this morning? I know that they're uncomfortable right now because someone died, but like I'm trying to figure out generally what their demeanor is.
It seems like they are more just nervous from they have mismanaged the estate. They're things just the money just isn't coming around. Where are all the servants? Like, they keep talking about more money. And things just have not been well. in his manner, he might have to actually work, and now his only housekeeper, the only one who ride or die, is dead.
I give him a flask to drink out of that's shaped like a tear. It's an amulet that I wear around my neck. It's also just filled with my tears.
Sad broth. Yeah, go ahead, Rich.
I just look at my Grey Gardener colleague and the raccoon. Just like that may not be as moving as he thinks it is.
You mustn't look directly at them.
Oh,
People assume. And I shield the raccoon's eyes.
sorry.
It's for your own protection. Just don't. You can hold it, but do not look at it. And without any sort of confirmation, I hand you the raccoon, expecting you to get comfort from it.
Wait, you actually hand me the raccoon?
Yes, but make sure it's like not watching during the handoff. You need comfort too, and I need a distraction to take care of the body.
I will stand there, scratching the raccoon under the chin, trying to make sure that no one interferes with your attempt to remove the body. That was like magic, Vic.
Yeah. You didn't even look. Just fair enough. The Baron sort of just kind of like enters into sort of like just kind of a trance at this point, and I will say, as the Grey Gardener, you may perform whatever duties you need to.
Alrighty, I blow my nose on one of my many parts of my outfit just to clear that out. I start to speak a very solo and guttural incantation. And put my hands out at the body, and I'm like, this body passed violently, and looks at everybody. Oh, does anyone have holy water? Anybody?
And I take the tears that I was giving him to sip on, and I hand them over to you.
And I address the temple, and I kind of move down and make sure I inspect the wounds very carefully. I kind of snap for a moment to get my raccoon back down. The raccoon then attends to the wounds and looks at the wounds. You can see a calculated look in the raccoon's eyes. The raccoon then does.
I cannot wait for the fall premiere of whatever TV show this is, where it's like mushroom priestess and raccoon CSI.
I nod very completely. I understand, and then hopefully I look at the Baron before trying to lift the body myself one more time.
He hops up to assist with the body, and for the sake of time, we'll say that we can go through we'll say the morning is spent doing the funeral rites. Where would you like to bury it, out of curiosity?
Out of knowing you, I think there's probably a nice plot in the back under like a willow or something, and I try to make it a little bit romantic.
There is a field outside that has been was meant for vegetables, but has been poorly maintained. There's a single groundskeeper hut in it, and one kind of like just poor, sad, lonely tree that you could probably bury it under. Is anybody there during that, or would you like to remain in the estate?
Oh, I certainly attend.
I definitely attend.
One must hold my assistant during this process because my assistant is always hungry.
Despite the rain, I take off my hat and put the raccoon into the hat. like as a small, like, curl it over so that it's got some rain cover.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I will say
feel a little bit of the drip from the drool from the raccoon, just to understand that.
Good lord. I will say that the work to dig the hole is laborious, as there's only one shovel. The ground is mud, but you do manage to get the body of the housekeeper at least sufficiently deep enough for it to be considered a burial. At this point, the Baron's expression has hardened a bit. And at this point, he looks to the group of you, wipes away his face, and says, "This is a tragic turn of events, and I have my suspicions. I would ask it that none of you leave the estate, at least until the relic arrives, and authorities as well."
Wait, are the authorities coming before or after the relic?
He says, "I imagine they will be with it. I would ask that you remain until this is," and he looks down at the gravesite. "This is resolved and figured out."
I don't, these matters are oftentimes beyond me, but how did you call the authorities?
He didn't call. The authorities are coming with
They're coming with it. Got you.
Yeah, coming with
there
the
will be
relic,
an authoritative force that arrives with this relic.
Yeah.
They will be dealing with this. Awesome.
He's got an iPhone.
I was like, wait, you only had one servant.
Yeah,
Don't lie to me, sucker.
Yeah. And at that point, he sort of straightens out his cloak, heads back into the estate, and shouts after all of you, "Dinner will be served in the evening," and then just heads back inside to leave you out there in the rain.
Do you think he's going to try to cook?
I don't know how it could be worse.
Right, that's what I'm worried about. We don't know how he's going to do worse. I'm terrified of finding out, in all honesty.
If we turn those potatoes and turnips into a paste, we can sort of make pancakes out of them for breakfast.
We could.
And then slather them with rainwater and your tears.
Well, my tears are an excellent salting agent. I mean, it's not
perhaps a little suet.
It's one of the many gifts bestowed upon me. My dear gardener, did you say that there was a violent end that this individual met?
Yes, very violent. Is as you've I don't know if you noticed that there was
the stab wounds usually.
Yes, that
are
is
a type of violence.
The blood.
Yes.
And the fact that it clearly rolled down the steps.
Yes, the blood and the broken neck and the stab wounds were all subtle indicators that potentially there was a violent means to this.
If it was just a couple of those things, I would suggest that might be an overreach. But the falling down the stairs and the stab wounds together, plus all the blood.
Yes.
Very good.
Which the blood not at the blood all the way down, not just at the end.
Yes. Do you think it was the Baron? It seems unlikely.
He seems rather frail. And were those stab wounds pretty deep? Stab wounds?
They were pretty deep, and there were 4 of them altogether. And we'll say just from some sort of cursory glance, she did not see it coming.
So looks like she was not moving terribly fast away, and then all of a sudden was hit by at least one stab wound before.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
My associates also says that there's a bit of an issue with they've noticed I don't mean this in an accusatory way, but they've noticed that all of you have knives inconspicuously.
Like
mean-
you say, my knife is largely, like, clearly displayed on my hip. Yes, I know it doesn't necessarily stand out, but I do have this one for both ritual purposes. It's also an old family heirloom. Is this person underground at this point in time?
Yes.
Oh, dang it. Excellent missed opportunity for me to stab a dead body.
I will say that the Great Gardener was very quick to bury the body.
I have no idea why that would matter. That's what great gardeners do, as far as I know. Bury the dead.
I don't know why the narrator voice from out of nowhere suggested that.
Yeah, well, I'll say one person buried the bodies really quickly, and 2 other people have knives.
Just
It's fine.
my associate.
Look. I'm just saying that there are 4 stab wounds and 4 of us, but it would be a poorly written crime story if everybody participated in the crime.
Yes,
That would just be extraordinarily bad.
If at the end we found out we had all walked into the room and done the thing together, and that the detective had showed up and had to try to unravel that, and that everybody in the audience was unaware of it until the last moment, that would be a horrible story.
But certainly nothing that Agatha Christie ever wrote it would be that cheap and easy.
Yes.
Not with Lucky Collins either.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we prepare? It sounds like the Baron does not have much staff. Why don't we see what we can do to help make his life easier in this time of tragedy? And we can just keep our eye on him. I mean, I'm sure there's any number of sharp implements around the house.
Fair enough. And with that,
was that a threat to the Baron?
No, that was
I'm
a
really
statement that
confused right now.
anyone can stab anyone with any number of things.
Is that a threat to us?
I don't know why you keep on turning things into threats that are just practical statements of reality.
I was going to suggest we make breakfast, but now
I
I'm
just
thinking
said
about
that.
the fear that I'm getting stabbed.
I said
by the 2 of you.
let's be about the business of the day.
don't
Help
have
out
knife.
around the household.
I just have a raccoon.
and with that, we'll say we'll get into each day we'll have now that you can do stuff. Each day has 3 chunks to it: morning, noon, and evening, much like in real life.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've been at this desk for the last 2.5 years.
What about second noon?
Yeah, second noon, or night meal, or so morning has been spent burying the body. You now have noon or afternoon, whatever. Afternoon and evening to we'll call those abstract chunks of time to search the house, basically explore, see if you can find anything, plot, do something in perhaps secret that others might not know. Perhaps it's setting up a trap, perhaps it's tailing somebody, or you can attempt to interact with the Baron or one of your other, well, I want to say companions, but at this point, suspects. So, you each have 1 chunk of time for the afternoon. What would each one of you like to do? You can also team up if you so choose.
I'm gonna set a trap for rats. Because you know what, they make surprisingly good cooking if you know how to season them properly, and so that's I'm taking the little bit of food we have and trying to catch more food with it.
Fair enough.
Could you summarize again the options?
You can explore one of the 5 areas of the house. There's the main estate and the 4 towers, north, south, east, west. So explore. You can plot, which is doing something kind of in secret that out of the eyes and ears of everyone else. You can also just say, I'm going to plot, and then spring that later if you so choose. Or you can attempt to converse with one of the many suspects in the house.
Well, I think I'm going to go look at the East Tower. I say out loud to everyone.
Wasn't
revealing
there
my secret plan?
Wasn't there a rule about not going in the East Tower?
Yes, there was. But there's, also lots of rules about stabbing people, and I didn't break any of those, and so I need a less dangerous rule to break as my, morning devotion or afternoon devotion at this point. We also frequently observe our morning after devotions in the afternoon as a, just to get the rule breaking in the process.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, I'm going to spend my time, I guess, exploring the kitchen while cooking and looking for good places to catch rats.
Fair enough. We'll say that we'll count that as exploring because the rat catching's just sort of whatever. That just happens, and I'm just going to say it right now, this place is loaded with rats. You can pretty much just pick them up. They're not scared or anything. So we'll say you explore the main part of the house. So Richard, you are plotting or genuinely exploring?
I'm actually exploring. I mean to explore. I'm going straight for the East Tower.
Fair
directly,
enough.
Unimpeded.
Okay. And for you, Vic?
Oh, I'm plotting.
All right. Fair enough. You can either announce it to everyone or keep it secret until it springs itself, shall we say. Yes, we will kill them all. All right, so Vic's action is secret, so we'll go with Tony first. You explore at first the kitchen, and after that gets depressing. There is not an ounce of salt to be seen anywhere, and you realize
I've got that covered.
Yeah. And at that point, you take the opportunity to explore the main part of the estate. You pass through the three stories and even part of the attic. You pass by many rooms that have clearly haven't been used in years. Everything is covered in either a carpet of dust, rags meant to cover it up, cover the dust off, but now they're decaying. And when you get to the attic, you see that the roof is like Swiss cheese. You do pass by the Baron's room, and you can hear some quiet sobbing there within. But aside from that, the main part of the estate, nothing seems to be amiss. It's just a decrepit old building that has not been used used to its fullness in some time. We'll hop over to Richard. You explore the East Tower. We'll say, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a little bit. So you are breaking a rule. So that will help you. And you Vic, did perform funeral rites, but we'll get to that. As you explore it, you realize that while breaking the law is great, this was not closed off for no reason. It is very dangerous. So I am actually going to let me double check how rolls work in this.
If it is role related, like related to one of the archetypes, he could make a D20 roll. If it's a save, it would be against whatever difficulty you normally think it would be. Usually sneaky if it's like physical maneuvering stuff. And then if it is something that's more of a chance roll, then it's something out of 6, with high numbers typically being better, low numbers typically being worse. Sometimes that's negotiated back and forth by approach equipment or other things.
Okay. If that's the case, we'll make a sneak roll to navigate through the dangerous rubble, as this place has sort of like collapsed in on itself. And it's going to be a little difficult to get through.
All right. That is just a 9.
Okay. I believe this operates off of wounds, correct?
Yeah, hits basically. Yeah, so it's a one hit is basically equivalent to a hit die in most other systems.
Got it. I have it up here. I just I've got a lot of stuff on the screen.
It's only a half page of reference, and it's easy for me to just say the things.
Thank you. as you are attempting to navigate safely through the rubble, your foot gives out just in the wrong spot, and you take a tumble. It's not too severe. You only fall down 1 story, but you do take 1 wound as you try to catch yourself, or 1 hit. At the bottom, in the rubble of rotten wood and stone, and also a puddle from the rain,
Well, yeah.
your hand crosses over something buried in the rubble. There is a metal ring stuck in the ground.
Ring isn't something that would go on your finger. A ring isn't something that would like pull up something that was.
Pull up something.
Gotcha.
It appears to be attached to a hook in the ground.
I'm going to try to. Is the area clear enough from rubble, right around where it might be pulling, or
completely buried? It would take a considerable amount of effort to clean this area out to get to see what this ring is attached to.
One second.
Are you reading? You reading through all your cool abilities?
Yeah, I'm reading through all my cool abilities right now. Just to be clear that I'm not avoiding a chance to use a cool ability. Would using unbound steps help here without forcing me to like pass through the floor? Would using unbound steps help me like pull the ring up?
Unbound steps would that would let you pass through whatever this ring is attached to, if it is a hatch. Otherwise, it won't work, or it'll fuse you into the floor. We'll see.
It's a very cool ability.
Yeah, let's go ahead and use unbound steps. If I get fused into the floor, I can use it again for the.
Fair enough. You use your miracle unbound steps, and what is your holy stat, or how many number? What's the number for that?
That's 3, I believe.
3. Okay.
Straight holy, baby.
Yep. So you can invoke 3 miracles, or a miracle thrice, or any subdivision thereof. So you call upon your god, and you let your steps be unbound, allowing you to pass enter any direction you so choose, and even through objects. You use this, and with 1 step, first your foot, then your leg, then your body passes through the ground. You take a bit of a hard fall, but nothing that you can't catch yourself. And you are in pitch darkness. Your feet sink into mud. And as your hand catches the ground to brace yourself, you feel something sharp, and almost like the consistency of wood. There is no light, and unless you brought one, you are completely blind down here.
I do have a bundle of torches and a what's the name for a tinderbox? That's the word I was looking for. I was about to say lighter.
Fair enough.
Ye old lighter.
Yeah.
Ye old lighter. Tinderbox. That's the word I'm looking for. So I'll light a torch.
Fair enough. As the torch lights, you have entered into the start of a long, muddy tunnel. There are the hints of sort of like stone arches, but clearly made of sandstone and crumbling after years and years of misuse. Your hand, the thing it caught on, is a single piece of rib bone. And looking further ahead at one of the arches, you see emblazoned into it the symbol of a skull with wings on it, a memento mori.
Is that associated with anybody in particular, or?
Nobody in particular, simply a marking of a grave site. This appears to be a tomb of some sort.
I'm going to walk over to that memento mori and see if there's a name associated with that tomb.
Stepping further in, you see that the tunnel actually extends quite a ways, and the mud gives way to a stone floor with steps, perhaps 30 feet away. There are sconces on the wall to hold torches, but the actual memento mori doesn't have anything. You do see at the foot of the steps, there is something carved into that, something that looks like words. I'm also going to need you to make a sneak roll. So go ahead and roll a d20 and add your sneak.
That's just a 9. Or 6, sorry.
Fair enough. You continue to make your way to the edge of the steps.
I'm going to walk up to as close as I can get to the words to see if I can make them out.
Fair enough. You see on the ground is just a sort of simple text, in loving memory of the Wakes Wraith, and then underneath, family tomb, along with that little memento mori symbol underneath it and above those words. It's at that point, as your footsteps slosh through the mud, you hear another noise from down below in the dark. It sounds like something churning through mud, and eventually it stops as it hears your steps. What do you do?
Is there an obvious way visible to get into the tomb right now?
Just further down those steps. That's the only way forward, unless you were to, not teleport, but phase through the hatch back above.
And the sound is coming from further down the steps, right?
Mm-hmm. And it knows you're there.
Yeah, I think I'm going to just call out hello.
Okay. At that point, as your words echo down the tunnel, you hear a response back. It repeats in your voice, hello. And then you hear the rapid sound of footsteps running up the steps towards you.
Well, nice people rarely run towards you. In my experience.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to make my second use of Unbound Steps and float up and through that hatch.
Fair enough. In a flash, you invoke the power of your god and phase back up through the hatch.
Mhm.
As you depart, you catch the faintest glimpse of a shadowy shape. You're not even sure if it was human. And as you stand kind of like back up in the gray light of day, almost blinding from the darkness below, back in the rain, you realize that you can't remember what you saw down there. Just that something came after you. And you stand there in the ruins.
Huh.
So, and then Vic, you plotted. Fair enough. And so we'll say that since normally the way favor works is it's a functions more like a currency, but in the case of Down We Go, it's actually going to function as an increase to your stat. So, Vic, you performed funeral rites, so go ahead and bump your holy up by 1. Richard, you broke a rule, so a important rule, shall we say? So go ahead and bump your holy up by 1 as well.
Nice. Okay.
Cool.
Yep. I'm trying to remember. Did you? Oh God, let me check for you, Tony. If there's anything,
There's not. I didn't do anything.
Okay. I was like,
I mean, unless this counts as a season working in an almshouse, I don't think I've done anything particularly. I have thoughts on what my character is planning to do that also would do something, but it won't happen until this evening because somebody's got to make sure everybody eats.
Fair enough. And with that, we move to evening. The Baron did say dinner would be served at this night. You can choose to skip this obligation if you want, or you can convene for dinner.
I mean, I'm making dinner, so everybody better show up. So I don't know what happens as the Baron comes in, and I've got stew de terroir that I'm working on. But I'm well in the process of having dispatched a number of rats and turning them into a stew.
Oh God. I mean, well,
look. Okay, how do you want to eat your rat? That's my question
yeah, that's
for you,
fair.
Charlie.
I mean,
Come on,
it's meat. So, the Baron does come down, and then looks at you with a little bit of frustration, but then relief as he
because he didn't have to do work.
Yeah.
I motion for him to sit. Like I like pull a chair up like near the stove where I'm cooking, or the like kind of open prep area.
Fair enough. And Richard and Vic, do you join for dinner or do you skip?
Yeah, I like other people cooking.
I join. My raccoon does not.
The raccoon is plotting right now.
This little.
Look, I'm just saying. I've seen a raccoon do a lot of impressive things. Like they can be taught to use basic rudimentary tools.
Fair enough. So. You all take a seat at dinner. Some of you, in the case of the Wild Walker, wet, muddy, and covered in a fresh wound.
I definitely did not change.
No.
I washed off the wound, but otherwise did not change.
And I will say that the mud that you were covered in, the Grey Gardener, you recognize just from the smell, it is grave soil. Even through the aroma of fine, kind of want to call it ratatouille, but I know that doesn't actually have rat in it.
I mean, that doesn't mean we can't call it. Could be fantasy ratatouille that does
fantasy
have rat
ratatouille. Or maybe you did like
thin segments of root, vegetable, and rat mixed together. Ratatouille.
Ratatouille.
So everybody's get big, and there is something like bread that you can't quite identify, but it does have a very bready consistency. It's certainly made out of some kind of meal that I ground earlier today. What kind of meal that is, it's got a heavy umami flavor to it, though.
Oh God, it's bone. At this point, the Baron takes his seat at the head of the table, compliments you on the food, and then quietly, as they pensively toy with their meal, asks if everybody had a good day and if the estate was up to their liking, as they look around at some of you covered in mud, some of you who disappeared mysteriously for a bit. They eye each one of you pensively.
Are are they still crying or are they composed?
They're composed, but they got puffy eyes. Like,
The kitchen is fine if it's getting late in the season, so your cupboards are a bit bare. But I made do, and there's actually plenty of food around. I was actually thinking about talking to our good friend the Gray Gardener about potentially helping procure some mushrooms for me tomorrow.
We'll do 5 mushrooms right now. You did not ask.
Do you just have mushrooms at all times?
The
on
cloak, like, they just shake the cloak.
oh,
And there's a mist and a almost layer of dust that comes out immediately. Boric, non-lethal. And you hear like a little bit of a dump, and you see about 6 to 7 mushroom clusters just fall to the floor around the chair. The raccoon is nowhere to be seen, but if it were, it would probably have one little hand to grab one of them back up. But as the raccoon is not currently with us, we do not know where the raccoon is.
Excellent. These will be perfect for the morning.
the Baron has a face of disgust.
The food is very well seasoned. I'll just point out it's a little salty. But don't think about it too much.
I mean, it's very well seasoned. If herbs de Provence on everything is.
Oh no, this one's good. There's a lot of there's good notes of paprika in this. There's obviously some sort of umami powder. Let's not talk about the number of spices I wrote down in my inventory for this character before things even started.
Fair enough. The Baron does eye you, Richard, the Wild Walker, and notice the wound that you sustained. While it is sort of at least patched up enough at this point, they do take note of it.
I fell against a branch while taking a walk.
They just give a single curt nod and go back to eating.
Oh, allow me. And I stretch out my hand. And I all of a sudden you see like a bloody like bloom on my shoulder as your shoulder is healed.
All right. We'll say that's one. I assume you're using the grievous wound miracle.
I am using the grievous wound from my book.
Fair enough. So go ahead. Richard, you gain that 1 wound back. Tony, you take a wound. As the bruise disappears from you, you feel your bones mend, and you feel just as good as you were. You watch it appear on the weeping cleric, and they wince from the pain, ever so slightly.
True.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. So at this point, you hear a commotion from across the estate. A single kind of yell from the North Tower. The Baron
in the North Tower, Baron.
The Baron looks up and looks at all of you and says, "No one." And a look of kind of concern comes on their face. They sort of, their eyes sort of dart over to all of you, asking, sort of silently asking, "Please tell me this is one of you."
We're all here. Why don't we go see what's going on in the North Tower?
We aren't all here. One of us is absent.
One of us is absent. Emotionally?
My associate's just taking a nap.
Also, that was not a raccoon cry from the North Tower, I don't think.
No. It sounded like a person cursing.
Well then, I guess we should go check it out probably then.
Fair enough. You all slink over to the North Tower. At this point, you hear hushed murmurs between a group of people.
Is the Baron coming with us?
He is, but he's staying behind you. He has picked up a candlestick to arm himself. The gold leaf on it flaking off to reveal the pin underneath. All right. I would ask, who would like to lead? Just a quick marching order.
I'll go first.
All right.
I'll just hand you my half-used torch from earlier. Lit, not.
You're not just showing off. I know how to burn a torch halfway down.
I like to imagine you actually just had the lit torch with you like all dinner. Like, it's already lit. I'm not gonna let it go to waste. Like,
You know, it's not like there were enough candles on the table.
yeah, this place is dark. Like, you need to put more windows in here. So it's Tony, followed by Richard or Vic in the marching order.
I think Vic, unless you want to be second, I'll go second.
I think going second's wise, for my weapon is not with me at the moment.
All right. Tony, Vic, and all right. So, you make your way to the North Tower, and stand in front of a closed door where you hear the murmurs. It sounds like a group of people whispering to each other. One of them wincing from the sound of like apparently sustaining a wound, and the sound of glass cracking from underneath their feet.
What? Why would there be broken glass under their feet in the North Tower?
Did we all sleep in the same tower last night or in different towers?
You actually slept in the main estate, pretty much just a room off from the Great Hall.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I knew there were towers. I couldn't remember if we were like sent to different towers or if there was. That's fine. Excellent. Hello.
At that point, the room goes silent, and you hear the sound of something being unsheathed.
No need to be concerned. We were expecting you. You're a little early.
It's dead silent.
There's still plenty of stew if you'd like some.
The Baron whispers to you, "What is the meaning of this?" Like,
obviously, it's the authorities with the relic. Having arrived early.
The Baron just like angrily looks at you with the authorities. Like, authorities.
Really, they would show up and just immediately go to the North Tower?
Well, I mean, if no one else is here, who else could it be?
Robbers?
Out
Bandits?
this far
Outlaws?
out.
The room remains silent, but you do hear their footsteps growing anxious.
As
Someone
they move towards the door, or just sort of like pace in place?
towards the door.
You could just also just say like, "Hi, we are Group X."
No response.
I will. I'll like push the door open.
Sure enough, you see 3 ragged individuals, each one of them armed with a knife, the other 2 clubs, wearing masks, and they're robbers. And as the door opens, we're gonna need to roll for initiative.
Cool. I'll take the first roll for that. They're gonna go first.
Oh,
I got a 14.
Oh no, it's just 1d6 roll.
Oh, 1d6
for the party.
Oh, for the party. Gotcha.
fair enough. The robbers spring to action. 2 of them attack the weeping cleric at the front. One with a knife, the other one with a cudgel of some sort.
So you're saying I should make some sort of defense roll, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I rolled a 14 on my first defense roll, unless you want me to make a unified defense roll.
No, one for each. We'll go with one for
fine.
each. Yeah.
And that's a 13 for the second one.
13 for the second one. Okay. Actually does beat both of them. So you do just barely manage to dip out of the way. They're not here to kill. And it doesn't seem like they brought those more so to intimidate, and they don't quite know how to use them. So you do manage to... Yes.
No, that's fine. As one of them reaches out, I just want to use my my other spell on the arm that reaches out. I'm going to use the Unwitting Martyr. You may transfer any your many wounds and ailments to another. When invoked, you touch another being and transfer any wounds, ailments, or curses you currently bear onto them. They're permitted to save. Typically, abilities don't save, and down we go. But it's up to you. I'm fine either way. But they take the damage.
All right. As the one with the knife crosses over to you, you dip out of the way. You give a simple tap on their hand, and you watch as they let out a shout of pain, and their arm drops down. You have transferred your wound to them, so go ahead, heal that wound back, and it has gone to them.
Please stop.
That's one of the scarier miracles, in my opinion. They let out a howl of pain from that. And with that, we move on to...
both of us got the same shoulder wound, and we didn't spend time howling in pain about it. Literally the exact same shoulder wound.
Literally.
I mean, you did fall down a full story. Kudos for you for not yelling, but...
But, it was a risk I was taking.
It's a little weirder when, a wound just... Anyway, never mind. Moving on. All right, so that is Tony. It is now... Oh, God, I'm trying to remember how this works. Hold on, let me pull it up.
We decide what order we want to go in, so people should actually be telling you, I'll go next, and then it'll be their turn again.
Fair enough. Okay, so...
Vic, Richard, which one of you wants to act next, if you want to act and do anything?
Go ahead.
I would like to use the earthen return to the wood paneling they're standing on currently.
Fair enough. So go ahead. That is one of your uses of...
Why don't you tell people what the earthen return does?
So the text says you can touch a once living object and allow it to rot away within minutes. And since wood is a once living object,
that it is.
It will decay into compost.
You touch the ground, and you watch as the floor, aged wood paneling of the floor gives away to a moldy yellow and gray, and immediately caves in under the weight of the three robbers. They all let out a surprise shout before you hear them crash into the story down below. The one expires. The other two have simply taken one wound. And with that, it just leaves you, Richard.
And they're gone. They're on the floor below, right?
Yes. Panicked. One of them is dead.
I'm gonna walk back down to the floor below and go I understand that you're a little panicked right now. We're really not here to actually harm anyone or kill anyone. We'd really like to just have a conversation and see why you're here.
At this point, it's just the two with cudgels left. They're shakily holding it, and they speak to you. Just let us go. We didn't think it would be like this. We didn't want to hurt anybody, but we will.
I also don't like hurting people. Not big on hurting people. Unless you tell me I can't hurt people. Don't tell me I can't hurt people, then I'm obliged to.
And I will hurt people because you told me I can't hurt people.
I don't know if I can or not. If we are still on combat, that is fine. I'll just wait for another round, but I don't know if we are or not.
I'd say at this point, this is enough of a break. They're hands up, they're they're done.
I understand that he has hit 0 HP. Oh shit! I can't cast any other more spells today. Never mind. I'm done.
Oh,
That's not. I would love to try to just stabilize this guy, even if I can't bring him back to life.
we'll let that be a roll.
Okay.
So we'll.
Would you like me to make is this a chance roll, or is this a holy roll given my background?
This would be a holy roll, just because of you are a Healy type.
Oh no, he's dead.
Oh, okay. Oops.
And that's what happens. Like I go over, I lean, and you see me pray, and then I stand up. I just go, no, he's dead.
Yeah. At this point, the other two sort of have stood down. The Baron is hissing at the three of you to kill them, and also hissing at the Grave Gardener about why you broke their floor. But he is just in the background at this point.
Look, I respect a good breaking and entering as much as anyone. That's like, especially if that's what you need to do to express yourself and be yourself. But why did you break and enter into the top floor of a tower? That's not the main house.
In the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of... I think this is... Can you tell us your story and how you got here and why you're here?
They look at the group of you and they say, "We'll tell you. You let us go." Kind of like
there's no bargains. It's hard for us to make decisions about what to do when someone is trying to condemn you to your death, and we haven't heard your side of what you were attempting.
Yes. The law of the land would like to kill you.
Law schmaw.
Law. The dominant socioeconomic force of this land, by which I mean you're in his house, would like to kill you.
Yes.
Right.
They speak. They say, "We were told there was some kind of treasure being delivered here. Somebody offered us a way to get in. We don't know who. It's through a contact. And we would give them a cut, and we would fence it. That's all we know."
So, the way in was just to appear on the top floor?
They say, I mean, we took the middle floor. They didn't tell us. They were supposed to help us in, and they weren't. And the day came, and so we just went with it. One of the windows, well, it wasn't open, and they sort of point up to the broken glass above.
Oh, so it was not open in the traditional sense. So you opened it, you reopened.
In the untraditional sense.
They nod, and they say, we didn't know which tower. They said one of the windows on one of the towers would be open. This could have gone better.
I hold up my hand and give them a small blessing for the act of criminal enterprise that they have rendered unto the gods.
Does work make you anemic, or is this just your preferred career?
Is criminality not work?
It is. No, that's why I was saying. That's why I adjusted my statement halfway through. I realized what I was saying. Criminality is a form of enterprise. It actually requires tremendously hard work if you're good at it. However, I think we've established they're not. And therefore, I guess my curiosity is this your chosen profession or something that you just thought would be easier? Because it's not. You have to try hard to be a good criminal.
There's a lot of judgment going on right now.
Look, one of them is dead. The other two are half beaten to death. It took all of 30 seconds. I'm just saying. They didn't know which tower to go into. I'm not saying I've ever done a crime, but if I wanted to, I certainly think I could do better than this.
I'll just put out right now that I have no intention of killing anybody else.
Oh, neither do I. I was just curious if they would like employment.
No, I'm saying that partially to the Baron.
Oh.
The Baron just sort of scowls at the group of you for how dare you talk to these robbers. But he says nothing. Just gives an
Are,
indignant look.
are you interested in gainful non-criminal enterprise, or is this, again, if this is your chosen path, all I would do is implore you to do better?
They kind of like just give the three of you a weird look and say, "Yeah, I think we just want to go home, right, Steve? Yeah, I just want to go home."
It's really such a strange name, Steve. I've not heard it before.
Man, I was just picking a name, just like
Teasing.
I was looking around
yeah.
like, what names? Tony. No, damn it. Richard. No, Vic. No, damn it. Charles.
Look, we would like to have some information. Like, how did the person get in touch with you? Messenger?
They say there's a town about 2 miles out from here.
Okay.
We met somebody at the tavern. They told us about a gig. They told us enough of the details and the date, and here we are.
Excellent. Well, I mean, I would say this: they have ruined a perfectly good floor. They fell right through it. I mean,
I feel like this floor was clearly the wood was rotten. It was going to break any moment.
Yeah, true, but they are the ones who broke it. Nevertheless, I mean, I think there is some level of recompense owed here, and the Baron is currently short on household staff.
They like look at the group of you and the Baron. The Baron thinks it over, sort of like weighs it, and looks down at the group of them. Do any of you know carpentry? They sort of look at each other and then just sort of kind of quizzically answer, yes, with a bit of a question mark.
Do you know cooking?
We don't need another cook.
I don't need another cook. Too many cooks. They sort of dust themselves off and say, I mean, can we get started in the morning?
I mean, I was planning on going to bed. I don't know about any of the rest of everyone.
The Baron just shouts down at the two of them. You will stay in the hut outside of the grounds, and points in the direction of the groundskeeper's hut. I will not have them staying in my house a minute longer.
I'll show you out to the groundskeeper's hut.
Fair
This
enough.
sounds like the GM's contrivance to just let them run away overnight so he doesn't have to manage 2 NPCs the rest of the adventure.
You'll see. You'll see.
I'm going to roll for hirelings.
Yes. Oh, God. And I will... so we'll hop over to... while Richard is leading them out to the hut, is there anything that you, Vic, and Tony would like to do in the sort of ruins with the Baron? The ruins of the floor, so to speak.
Well, I have to fix the floor.
They look at you and they say, there should be some repair supplies I never managed to use other in the over in the southern tower. There should be some lumber and a few new floor panels. I don't know if they're any good. There's been a lot of leaks and flooding over there.
I think they'd make their way over to go figure out if the supplies are good enough and spend the rest of that time repairing the floor.
Fair enough.
I want to spend the evening getting the Baron tucked in bed.
Okay. That will be you. The Baron sort of like leads himself to his bed and just sort of like kind of like dazed. This has been a very...
That's fine. In his dazed state, that's actually perfect for me. Well fed, emotionally overwhelmed, and slightly broken. The perfect time for me to apply religion on him.
Yes. Have you heard about
have you heard about no, actually, what I actually what I do want to do, it's not a spell, so I just want to try. I think it matches. My goal is to, and we can role play through this as much as you want. My goal is to get the Baron to experience at least mild catharsis around the emotional overwhelm that he's been trying to unsuccessfully process all day long, because all he's ever been taught to do is repress his entire life. If I had a use of a spell, I would propose this is an emotional form of the grievous wound, where essentially what I want the narration to look like is I want to get the Baron to confront his emotions, and process them, and that any traumatic heft of them I will take on myself, whatever that looks like. I'm also going to creepily gather his and my tears as this process happens.
We'll say it does work, and it ends with him kind of having this sort of just like quiet, gentle revelation as he's falling asleep of like, I don't have to be a baron, and it ends with him saying, I could be an explorer, as he sort of drifts off to sleep. After he was kind of like mentioning about how expensive everything is here, and like, you know, he could probably only sell the building for the lot value at this point, but you know, it is still worth a decent amount of assets.
He's traumatized by the weight of his family's crippling history that was placed upon his shoulders with no reasonable expectation of actual management. But he realizes he could leave it all behind. Excellent. I'm glad we helped process through that.
He could turn a new leaf, be a new baron. And with that, we'll hop over to Richard, as you lead the two vagrants, well, we'll just say, not vagrants, burglars, out to the groundskeeper's hut. They kind of like, you know, prod you with a few questions here and there of like, you know, you could have killed us. We appreciate it. We just got to ask why.
You know, the expectation seemed to be that I would kill you, and thus I wanted to defy expectations. Also, that's a lot of blood for no good reason. There's been a lot of death lately.
The other one nods and then sort of like whispers over to their companion of like, I think he's a wild walker. It's sort of like, you know, kind of like a little bit of like reverence sort of like comes over them when they posit that. And they kind of like look at you expectantly if that is the case.
I am in fact a wild walker, yes.
They sort of like smile and nod at this, like knowing that they're at least in better hands than, you know, probably best case scenario for them. But as you get to the hut, you can't help but notice a smell coming from it.
Describe the smell.
We'll say you've walked the world. You've seen the ups and downs of humanity, much life and death. Smells like corpse.
Okay. You notice, as I said, there's a smell, death, lots of death lately. You both got your cudgels. I've got a knife.
They look to you, they nod, and they pull their cudgels as the three of you approach the hut. The door is slightly ajar. The smell is coming from within.
Steve, why don't you kick that in?
He looks at you. I mean, you're the holy one.
Right. So I will. I'll shout a command as you kick it in.
He like grunts, steps up to it, kicks in the door, and then quickly takes a step back. And you see on the ground is the putrefying corpse of another human being wearing groundskeeper clothing.
Okay, that was not what I was expecting at all. Was anybody else expecting a dead groundskeeper? Just checking.
No.
Yeah, the other one looks at you. Sense. Yeah, the other one looks at you. Yeah, we're not staying in here tonight.
No, you're not. You're really not. No, I'm not going to. Yeah, I would not do that to you.
They look at you and they ask, look, can we just go?
I can't really stop you, can I?
They nod and they say, hey, it's not a lot, but, and they sort of like search their purses. They pass over coins, but the one sort of like shushes it, and instead pulls out a small tincture of some kind of strong liquor, and they hand it to you.
Heads up. How blotto am I going to get when I drink this alone in my room?
They, jeez, they say like, well, I mean, I knew a guy who drank a whole cup of it, and he was never right since. So we usually just do like a couple of drops.
Oh, just a couple of drops.
And he says, yeah, and also don't open it near fire.
I was going to ask about flammability. Yeah. All right.
They each pat you on the shoulder, and they walk off into the dark.
Kinar, go with you.
Yeah, and they sort of like give like a little bit of a fist pump as they head out. And you stand there next to a hut with a rotten corpse.
Well, I think this means I have to go see my friend the Grey Gardener.
Fair enough. It is getting close to. It is evening at this point, and I would say that you could do more work with like like cleaning up a corpse or something like that, but it would cut into your sleep, risking some exhaustion. But you may approach the Grey Gardener about this.
So, you know how in the past this morning you helped bury a dead body?
Is there another one?
Well, that's that whole line between the present and the past that the Great Gardeners are always talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the present, there is another dead body not very far from where you buried the previous one.
Oh, I have to do two things now. First,
I feel like one has been waiting for a while. That's not a fresh dead body.
I have to upturn the whole previous garden into a grave. It seems, desecrate that land.
It's you buried
consecrate
organic matter into the soil, and surely that will. I have no idea. There's another mid compost level dead body in the gardener's in the groundskeeper's hut. It has been there a while. I don't think there's a rush to get to it right now unless you just want to come check on it.
I'm definitely going to consecrate the garden and then go and get the corpse later on.
Fair enough. So we'll say that takes up. You do as much as you can in the dark in the evening, before preparing. All heading back to sleep, to get an evening's rest. Which at this point it is 4:00. There is a little bit more. How long was the stream?
I set it up for 3.5 hours. As long as everybody else is still good, we're still good.
Perfect. Just enough time.
I didn't know it was a mystery. Ooh.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't know if we only had like 2 hours.
Do we want to take a little break?
I could go for a little cup of coffee, and we are coming up on the final day, so to speak. So
excellent. Let's take let's take a 5-minute break so we can refill our coffee, empty parts of our bodies we need to, find mushrooms, collect our own tears, break any laws we need to, any of that kind of stuff. We are currently playing As the Gods Demand, using Down We Go as the core system. It's a levelless cleric system, suitable to drop into any OSR system that you love. And we will be back in about 5 minutes to explore the last day here at the keep of the barony of the place that we are.
Waxwraith.
Waxwraith. And we are back here live on Roll for Content, Jody Simone's favorite actual play stream to finish up the last day of our As the Gods Demand one shot. We are a bunch of clerics of different weird gods trying to solve a mystery, because that's what clerics do. I don't know what your clerics do, but if they're not solving mysteries, talk to them. With that said, I'm going to hand things back over to Charlie to take us back into the game.
This is what I learned from Father Brown Mysteries, is that's what clerics do. Yeah.
Yeah. God, let's bring back those days.
Yeah, right?
You want to know through an interesting twist of fate? I would encourage anybody who wants to actually think about, if you want to write a Father Brown RPG, because I think it's rife for like the Between in a very interesting way, or not the Between, Brindlewood Bay. No one really holds the IP for Father Brown. Like it's a beloved UK title, but it entered into the common domain quickly enough, and Chesterton never established it, and it passed back and forth a few times, and so there's no limitations on doing Father Brown related stuff, as long as you're kind of trying to hit the correct ethos of it, because it is a beloved form of British pop culture also too. But other than that, FYI,
check out Feral Indie Studios' next title, the Father Brown official role-playing game. Set to release.
GK Chesterton licensed. Yeah,
that's right. Set to release late quarter 2023.
There you go.
Anyway, okay. So, last we left off, the some things were amiss in the Braithwaite Manor, or not Braithwaite. Jesus, Wax Wraith Manor. The body of the housekeeper had been discovered, and now a second body has appeared in the hut of the groundskeeper. Some people tried to break in and were stopped. As well, there is something lurking below the manor that is known only to the Wild Walker.
I'll also point this out, and if nothing happened to it, that's fine. That can be a task for the morning. We didn't do anything with the other body unless we had their friends take it out with them. And so they're actually
I specifically went to get the Grey Gardener so that I could
no. The body of their third burglar who came.
Oh my god!
He's dead.
This is such an awkward oversight.
It's just there.
Like we all were like, yeah. I was like, he's dead, and then at that point in time, like he was a null spot in everyone's universe for a little bit. So I'm just going to point out that dead body's still upstairs.
Yes.
There are 3 dead bodies that we know of.
Well, technically downstairs because it fell
downstairs
through the floor to get the. Yeah. Anyway,
it's upstairs from the ground floor.
Yeah, upstairs from the ground floor. Wow, forgot about that.
Not emotionally awkward at all.
Yeah. Oh, right. That. But you all awake the next morning. The rain has finally stopped, but it is still a gray, moody day, and a strange, fell energy hangs over the manor as you wake up.
You know what I love about this place? I say to no one in particular, that the weather is just amazing. I say, just coming out of my room.
Fair enough. All right.
I didn't really need to like fill a basin of water or anything. I just stuck my head out the window and could wash my hair and face.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. So you have the morning, afternoon, and evening to do things. What would each one of you like to do in the morning?
I like how none of us have chosen to communicate anything with each other.
Yeah. No.
Other than like, I was like, I got some big rats. Eat up.
I assume the Baron already knows the crypt is haunted in the East Tower, and it really seems like a really personal thing to bring up in front of company.
Your family is restless.
Yeah.
I spend not the entire morning, but I wake up a little bit early so I can make mushroom omelet. Mushroom omelets for everybody.
Where'd you find the eggs?
Look, that's not the question you should be asking. It's not. That's not the question you should be asking. That's not the important question. Where did I get the cheese? Is the important question. Where did I get the cheese?
That only clicks in bite 2. So
like, because eggs are not a hard thing to find. We already know the attic was filled with holes, which means it's also filled with birds, which means it's also filled with eggs, and that's where I got the eggs from. We've established this in the narrative and in the canon already.
fair enough.
Perfect. Actually, the salt in this works perfectly. It's perfectly seasoned. Not too salty. Yes. Where did I get the cheese? That's the real question.
We'll explore that another time.
I start to ask the question and then say, don't answer.
Don't.
Just I would like the question to be out there so that it's not haunting me in here. But I need you not to answer.
Yes, I wasn't going to. It's one of the secrets of the trade. If you will.
What
Just
about
look on mysteriously.
Yes. So the two of you eat breakfast. The Grey Gardener, what would you like to do?
I believe that the raccoon and I will assist in like serving the breakfast, but the raccoon has now become really suspicious of everybody and is just smelling them as they walk around and like kind of snuggling up to each of the PCs. Just trying to figure out what the deal is. Just really get it in there for them.
Fair enough. I will say as the smell of omelet and roasted, seared mushroom fills the air, delicious. The Baron is nowhere to be seen this morning. He did not leave his room.
I will take him up in omelet and knock on the door.
I'm going to follow you because I have some questions for him about the last time he saw his groundskeeper.
There is.
Also, I want to see if there's a deerstalker hat for the raccoon somewhere in this house because that would be adorable.
The raccoon will eat the omelet, but I will also follow.
There is no response from inside his room.
Oh no, this is like I open the door. Oh, I brought you some omelet this morning. Obviously you had a rough night, but I wanted you to have a bright. And what do I see?
You see the bed thrown askew and no Baron in sight.
Open or close
Baron?
windows?
Close windows.
Well, he must have got up to go start packing or for morning constitutional. I don't know.
I take morning constitutionals and don't normally pack for them.
Well, some people got to get this shit out. Some people got to get this shit in. You know what I'm saying?
Fair enough. But yes, the Baron is nowhere to be seen. His room is somewhat torn asunder, but no sign of blood or anything.
The windows are closed. Did anyone hear the Baron leave in the middle of the night?
No, and every time something else has happened at night, we've heard something. So,
we didn't hear the housekeeper being stabbed.
That's true. We did hear the Baron screaming about it, though.
Right. So, sans screaming.
Sans screaming, yes.
This did not happen with screaming.
Well, I say, well, this omelet's going to go to waste. I guess
Just to fill you in, Thrag. Just to fill you in.
Yes.
Groundskeeper. Body is dead body in the groundskeeping cottage. That seems to be the groundskeeper. I let our two prisoners just leave because,
Well, I mean, if the Baron isn't here, there's really no way for them to make reparations for the damage they did. So, I mean,
right.
I also
dead groundskeeper person.
Yes. I would have just housed them inside. There's plenty of room. But I mean, you made the choice you made.
It was a little creepy.
I don't doubt it. I can't imagine those poor chaps. Their friend died upstairs. People pretended like the body didn't even.
Body?
No, people pretended like the body didn't even exist. I mean, you'd wonder if they were just a throw together party, just almost as if they were a set of just names on paper that some abstracted deity didn't even care about. Can you imagine your deity not caring about the very essence of your being?
Is it hot in here? I think it's hot in here.
I sometimes you just go to a tavern and you get a bunch of people together and you go send them off to do a job without really caring whether they live or die.
I mean, I understand that. I just,
I mean, I don't mean you specifically. I just meant
no, people in
wealthy,
general.
wealthy, terrible people.
Right. The whims of fate, I tell you. Well, I mean, once the relic comes tomorrow, we'll part ways. Whatever the result may be. But it has been nice getting to know you. Have you noticed that the Grey Gardener is not around much?
Is the Grey Gardener there right now?
I've been burying all the bodies.
Oh! I didn't see
the
you
Grey
there.
Gardener is literally right here.
You fade right into the background sometimes.
That's why I have the raccoon.
To bury the bodies?
No, to make me a little bit more present. People said it earlier in my life. They're like, you disappear into the background. Then I got a companion that helps out. But no, I've been burying all the bodies except for the one that we had upstairs that I totally forgot about.
Yes. I mean, like I said, we don't even know that poor fool's name. We know one of their names, Steve. Other than that, which is such a bizarre name. Other than that, there's no hint of who they were. Either way, we should bury them as well.
Yes. Would you like to spend the morning burying the body? Unless there's something else.
I feel like spending a morning burying a body is about as... By the way, do not go to the East Tower.
Oh, why not?
Why?
I admit nothing, but it's haunted.
I admit nothing. It is haunted.
The tower is haunted.
The parts of the tower appear to be haunted. Also, that's how you end up falling down on things. Or you stand in a tower that's not had a floor fall out of it, and it does fall out of it. Probably should avoid both the North and the East Towers. I'm really not sure what happened to the North Tower.
Are you hiding something there?
There's a lot of accusations right now. I'm just telling you that I went to the East. I'm just not telling you that I went to the East Tower, hurt myself, fell through the floor, don't ask, and then found the family tomb that was filled with things that were like stalking around, shadowy things, and I left before I really saw what it was.
Okay, cool.
So we should burn it.
Well,
it's stone. You can't really...
No, like burn whatever's in there to...
I feel like that may be harsh. It didn't do anything to me other than scare me.
Well, but did it perhaps... I mean, like, I don't know how... I don't know... And I look over at the Grey Gardener. I'm like, I don't know what causes the dead to go to rest or to rise or any of those types of things. I deal more with the living. Is it perhaps whatever is down there is killing everything horribly? Is that a thing they do?
Yes, I think I need to go there.
We have not seen any evidence of things crawling their way up through the underground area to kill things.
I mean, that is true, but we haven't seen really any evidence to speak of. It's almost as if we're just bumbling through this entire process, planning on the fact that at the end of it all, something will be revealed.
Look, all I would like to say is the most likely person to have killed two different people who were working for him is the person who seems to have fled the scene.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. But he was so distraught.
Well, sometimes you do things and you regret them.
And then you do them again a week later.
Wait, you've never had made a series of bad decisions that were really the same bad decision over and over and over again?
Well, I mean, I think anybody who is a member of the cloth could say that, yes, they absolutely have.
It's getting real.
Exactly.
I'm gonna go bury the body. I've made a nice. I made the totally unturned garden into a massive grave. It's beautiful.
Excellent.
I'm going to go help you.
I feel like since you didn't explore the East Tower, I should probably explore at least one of these other towers. I will go. What do you think? Which one overlooks the graveyard? What towers overlook the graveyard?
Actually, oddly enough, Oh wait, the
The
graveyard.
brand,
Well,
no, the
the-
brand
the
new
brand new
graveyard.
Brand new
Graveyard,
graveyard.
okay.
Where things are
He
being
like
buried.
consecrated it.
The former garden.
the former garden. The North Tower overlooks it.
I will go to the North Tower to explore the North Tower while they are burying the dead.
Okay. This is the tower that the robbers broke into. So there is the other. By the way, when you say you're burying a body, which one?
So
We might as well
let's
bury
go
both of
over
them.
a few of them. I buried the help. I buried the body we found in the shed. I have buried. Now I'm moving on to bury the body that we forgot about.
So that is actually also that body is also in the North Tower. We'll say you spend the morning searching the North Tower, and as you do so through the kind of rubble, you help pull the body out. You do discover a hidden door. Something you did not spot earlier in the evening, as it has just been opened up, perhaps last night. And the only thing that gives it away is a single seam jutting out perhaps a quarter inch seamlessly from the stone wall.
Almost as if somebody knew this was here and didn't close it well enough on their way in or out.
Yes.
And where in the North Tower is this?
This is in the bottom floor. So like
Okay.
it doesn't have a basement, but it does have like a floor that's kind of like sort of into the ground. And this is where it juts. This is where that door is.
Excellent. I will go through the doorway.
Okay. Entering in, you see a thin set of descending steps. It's one of those kind of like hidden passages that all castles have, we'll say. And it descends down into the dark. The steps leading down are covered in mud, and it smells faintly of peat, or something that has long since decayed.
Reminds me of my old friend Peter.
What about this reminds you of Peter?
Oh, he decayed long ago, and this is exactly what he smelled like as it happened.
Oh my god. So it took you most of the morning to like find this. It was sort of like tucked away and hidden. By this point, it is afternoon for all of you. The body is buried. We'll say that you go ahead, Vic, add one more holy to your character. Here, from all these bodies.
I really am just like letting those bodies hit the floor.
For whatever
Yeah.
reason, so convenient.
Works a little bit differently with, the 6-point system. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so
I'm not
you are
trying to
all
be bad.
yeah, you are all gathered at the North Tower at the secret, at the hidden door leading to the secret stairway that descends down. And I will say for the Wild Walker, Richard, if you are there,
Uh-huh.
it smells very familiar. This leads to
Is
the
this
tomb.
smell like the bottom of the East Tower?
Hmm.
May I perhaps use the bargain missile on the body I have not buried yet?
Oh my god, you may.
Fantastic. I am going to animate this corpse in a fungal capacity so it can go ahead of us.
All right, so all of you watch in perhaps fascination or horror as the Grey Gardener invokes the power of their god. You watch the body begin to contort and twist, and you watch as fungus begins to sprout from its various orifices. It then stands up sluggishly like a zombie, standing there waiting to be given an order.
Well, go on. Go make sure everything is safe down there for us.
Without a nod, it just proceeds with almost mechanical precision. It goes through the door and begins descending the steps one by one. Heavy footsteps splashing into mud. Do you follow after it or just wait for something to happen?
Follow after, I think.
Yeah,
Fair.
I think I'll take the lead this time and light the torch and follow after the zombie.
Fair enough. So Richard first, followed by Tony or Vic.
I'll go last.
Okay. Vic and then 2D. So, you all follow behind the animated corpse as it takes its steps. You go down probably 2 stories worth of depth before its foot rests, finally splashes into water. Your torch lights up a sort of a short but wide room with sandstone pillars crumbling. You are in a tomb of some kind. You see recesses in the wall where there are decaying bones laid to rest. And as the zombie steps down the final step, standing in the room that seems to push back into the dark, it stands waiting for another order.
I step to the side so that the Grey Gardener can see the zombie and give orders.
Investigate the area. I will have your back. And the Grey Gardener shakes their jacket one more time, and the raccoon kind of plops out of it and walks amongst the zombie.
Fair enough. So the zombie goes ahead of you. Fair enough. It begins to trod through the water that is above your ankles down here. The smell of decaying bone and soil fills all of your nostrils. At this point, if you would like to be sneaky about this, I'm going to need to have everyone roll sneak. Stealth. Roll a d20 and add sneak.
I'm not trying to be sneaky about it. Everybody else can.
I'm not being particularly sneaky right now.
Never mind then. You trod through the water. And at this point, you hear something in the dark. 2 things. One makes steps through the water. Something else slithers. Your torchlight has not quite reached it, but you can see the ripples in the water coming towards you, signaling movement.
Are there some sarcophagi or anything that we can climb on top of?
Yes, there are. So there are pits in the walls, the alcoves, and then laid next to them, kind of in nice rows, are some sort of crumbling sarcophagi. You could stand on them if you so choose.
I'm going to climb up onto one of the sarcophagi real quick.
Okay. You almost kind of have to hunch down to keep your head from hitting the sort of like, what's the word? Short roof. Ceiling.
Yeah. I just want to get some light from up above to see sort of what's slithering in the water.
With that extra bit of light, the extra height, the light casts just far enough to see what is lurking down in the tomb. You almost recognize the shape of the one thing, something that cut out your memory. It stands in the corner, this sort of shape that you can't make out. The other thing you can make out, though, a large, slithering worm with a gaping mouth, sucking at the water, chewing on something, looks up at the 3 of you before turning to you, Richard, and then repeating what you said, hello, with your voice. And at this point, we're going to need to roll initiative.
I got it. A 6.
6. All right. So I believe you guys go first. You are engaged with a shape that you cannot see or make out, but it's there. It's memory shenanigans. And a big old worm, about the size of a horse if it didn't have legs.
Classic,
I don't know how else to describe that size.
Worm horse.
Worm horse.
Yeah. I've got a dagger and I want to stay up here, so I guess I'm waiting for it to get kind of close enough to us. You know what I do?
Yeah.
I stab myself in the leg.
Okay, for how many? We'll let you choose how many. Oh, I guess weapons only do one.
Weapons do 1 damage. I mean, the question is, I think you could theoretically say, how grievously do I want to wound myself? But I don't know. It's an interesting way to play with the system. At default, a weapon would do one damage. So I mean,
we'll say it just does one.
Okay.
Any more action, you're gonna have to do a little bit more work. We'll say without going into grisly details.
Yeah, I could. Yeah.
So you inflict 1 wound on yourself. Okay, good. And who would like to go next?
Please, Richard.
This worm seems unlikely to have a conversation.
Yes. Well, I mean, it can talk, but I don't know how much of a conversational partner it is. Anyway.
Why don't we all just stay calm and we're just here to look for the Baron. And I will sort of like press back so that I've got like a wall at my back, and I've got could I from here like jump further away if I needed to run away without getting back in the water?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I think I'm going to get ready to jump if it comes for me. But I'm going to hold the torch out just like, hey, why don't we just figure out what's happening, and then we can take the Baron and take care of the Baron, and then we can all go with the Baron.
I'll say that the worm just repeats it says hello, followed by, in the Baron's voice, who are you? And and it just keeps repeating that over and over as you were backing up, preparing to jump. And so Vic, that was a cat. Vic, it is your turn. What do you do?
So I have silverware. And I would like to use it as throwing knives.
Is that what you plotted? You stole the silverware?
No.
Okay.
The silverware were gear I wrote down before the game.
Okay.
I love how we were like, we're going on a picnic. Who's bringing the plates? Who's bringing the seasonings?
It goes like H.P. Lovecraft murder mystery. So yeah.
I only have one more thing hidden in my gear.
Okay. So you're using the silverware as throwing. Okay. So go ahead and give me a combat. It's defense plus 20. God, how does it work? Oh, it's
D20 plus bloodthirsty if they have any.
Okay. So go ahead, give me. Oh, fair enough.
16.
16. That hits. And you're hitting the worm or the shape?
The worm. I'll deal with the shape next round.
Okay. All right. That deals 1 hit to the worm. You're a fine, for comedy's sake, we'll say a fine serving fork finds purchase into the worm's flesh. It lets out a shriek that sounds, while unfamiliar to you, much like the sound of a man dying. So the worm has taken 1 hit. It is now... Oh, and what does your zombie do?
My zombie goes for the shadow.
Okay. You give a single command to the zombie, and rather than its lethargic steps, it sprints full force towards the shape to make an attack on it. So it actually has the same stats as what it had in life, which means I have to roll. That hits. You watch as the zombie tackles into the shape. you hear a sound like static in the brain as it gets hit. So that takes a hit.
Nice.
All right. It is now the worm and the shape's turn. The shape attempts to... How does this work? Defense is d20 plus sneaky. I'll go ahead and roll for the zombie as the shape attacks it. All right. It does not... Failed its defense. And you watch as limbs, somewhat human, spring from the shape, just two, and a knife draws across the head of the zombie. It falls to the floor, twitching. It only had one hit, so it... yeah, so that was expected. That was expected. Just kind of falls apart. Your zombie falls apart. Did its part. The worm, on the other hand, lurches at the Grey Gardener. Revenge for the wound that it took. And I'm going to need you to make for defense, roll a d20 plus sneaky.
I got a 17.
17. That beats it. You dip out of the way as the worm opens its mouth, and inside of it has the same sort of like shapeless color without of color inside of it. Inexplicable as it tries to bite at you. All right, so with that, it is initiative rolled every turn, or
No, it's one per battle.
fair enough.
So.
All right, it is your guys' turn. Who goes first? The worm is attacking the Grey Gardener. The shape is standing up after killing the zombie, and yep.
So we're not gonna have a conversation. So I'm just gonna jump from here onto the worm and hit it with the torch.
Fair enough.
I continue to expand my pool of damage.
Okay, you take another stab, shall we say?
Sure.
Okay. We'll go with so we'll start with Richard. Go ahead. Roll.
No. Just skip it.
Oh, okay.
On a D20, right, Richard?
You know, you've used so much of the good rolls, Tony.
Vic's got a bunch of good ones there also too.
Yeah.
That's good.
I get nervous to roll my dice though because I don't want it to be too loud.
So yeah, that was a 7.
Okay. You splash into the water. The worm, as its body writhes away, avoids the torch. It doesn't go out. You just manage to like pull back in time before it sinks into the water. And with that, so Tony expanded the pool. Vic, you were being attacked by a worm.
Seems about right.
Yeah. What do you do?
I am going to, looking at what I got, since I've already thrown all my silverware, I have one more thing that I can use to kind of guard myself, and it is a very small raccoon skull.
Okay. So you're going to strike with the raccoon skull?
I'm going to try to use it as like a throw run.
Okay. Let's say it's got some like kind of sharp little teeth on it. One use, as it's just a skull, but go ahead.
It was the former raccoon.
Oh, God. Go ahead, give me a bloodthirsty roll.
I need to actually roll the dice. I'm being a weenie. I got a 17.
17. That hits miraculously. You slam the skull down into the worm. It shatters on impact, but you watch as little teeth and shards of bone stab into what you assume has to be its head. It lets out another shriek that sounds like a person, followed by the sound of the housekeeper saying, "Who goes there? Who goes there?" All right, and it is now their turn. So the shape dusts itself off and lunges towards, we'll say, you, Tony, as you are currently not engaged with.
I'm on top of a sarcophagus, though.
It's,
You like that? You like how I did
Yeah.
that?
yes. You watch as the unmistakable flash of a knife crosses towards you. So go ahead and give me a defense. So D20 plus sneaky.
I rolled a 17.
17. Damn, God, you guys.
Oh no, Richard's doing a lot for you. Don't worry. Richard's doing the heavy lifting.
You dip out of the way as a knife crosses in front of you. It does not find purchase, however. The worm this time thrashes about and attacks Richard. So go ahead and give me a.
That's a 20.
Oh, man. Oh, 1 second.
Also,
Weirdly, I was using a D12, so
was that a natural 20?
it was a natural 20.
do
I can only get natural 20s on any roll that's not holy.
You also do get a slot back for if you've expended any spells today or
Okay.
Oh, fair enough.
abilities. That is really the only thing it does for you, and down we go. It expands your pool of actions.
Fair enough. You miraculously you dive out of the way, perhaps by your own will, or perhaps benefited from the world walker and your god. So that is the monster's turn. It is your guys' turn. Getting some great rolls.
Same move as last time. Knife flashes out. I tap the arm, and I inflict 2 damage on this thing attacking me.
You hear a very human shriek, and you watch as the shapelessness gives way to show a withered person wearing robes. They fall back into the water, the cuts in them bleeding out and seeping into the water. You see where the zombie bit into their neck, and you see where the wounds you gave yourself appear on them. They are dead. The worm's not, though. So go ahead.
Cool. Yeah. I'm sure that worm only has 1 hit left also, too. I'm sure we're fine.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, you did do 2 hits to it, and it was 3 hits altogether. Never mind. Doesn't matter. Secrets.
I toss my knife through the air towards the Grey Gardener, but not at the Grey Gardener.
Fair enough.
Vic, I'm trying. Oh, I guess I did already technically perform an action this time, but I also, I toss my knife really quickly.
Yeah. We'll say as you finish off an enemy, you toss the knife. Rule of cool.
It's knife toss, arm tap at the same time.
Yeah.
2 different things, 2 different directions.
We'll say go ahead if you do not have a weapon, Vic. You may attempt a bloodthirsty roll. It will be higher if you're trying to catch the knife.
Alrighty. Like I said, I did that sweet kind thing where I choose to do something ridiculous and then don't have a knife as a result of it. My raccoon was my choice over having a weapon. That's going to be 7.
7. You miss the knife and it splashes into the water. The worm continues to attack. It watched its companion die, but it also watched the knife splash into the water near the Grey Gardener. It makes a lunge at you, Vic.
Oh boy.
Go ahead, roll sneaky.
I got a 19.
19. God damn. Okay.
Also, I have not done anything yet this round.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. My bad.
Oh no. That is just a 10. I was going to try to swing at it with the torch.
Okay. You do not manage to penetrate its hide. You just kind of like slap into it. It sounds like a drum echoing as you do so.
That's not eerie at all.
No. So it actually, we loop back around. The worm, you guys got the worm on the ropes. But you are down a knife.
I pick up the knife from the robed figure that fell to the ground that tried to stab me.
Oh, damn it. Okay, fair. Yeah.
That's why I felt very comfortable throwing my knife across the room.
Tax.
Yes. It is. I will say this. It is a fine curved knife. That has that S snake up
Nice.
Nice.
it.
Almost as cool as mine. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Good job, GM. You made a knife almost as cool as mine. I pick it up and I try to stab it into the tail of this worm because I think it's facing the opposite side of the room from me at this point in time.
Yeah, it's worm butt.
God, I know what we're eating tonight.
Yeah. Oh, God. So don't do that. Don't do that. So go ahead, give me a bloodthirsty roll.
18. Oh wait,
18.
sorry, 19 because I do have one bloodthirsty.
Okay. The worm is hit. You stab it in its back. It's at this point, the worm is not looking good. God, it's too many good rolls. Too many good rolls, guys.
I will club at it again since I'm standing right here.
Fair enough.
No, it's a 1, a natural 1.
Ooh. Does anything happen with natural ones? I know if the dice falls off the table, your character dies.
So, that is up to the GM on how they want to run that. That could be an opportunity attack. It could be whatever. Like, it's an invitation to make a hard move. It's certainly a critical fumble, but there's no rules as written for how that works.
We'll be all right.
It's just a critical failure.
Yes. You dropped the torch into the water.
Oh, great.
With
now
that,
we're in the dark.
Yes.
Sounds about right.
Yep. As you have the worm on the ropes, the light extinguishes from the room. You are all trapped in the dark with this thing. So I'll just modify the rules to make them a little harder. All right, so it is the worm's turn. It attacks, we'll say Richard. Go ahead, make a sneaky roll. It will be higher this time.
Nope, miss.
Ooh. Go ahead and take a hit as the worm bites you.
Rude.
When you pull back, you see your hand. It's missing 2 fingers, but you realize you were always missing 2 fingers, right? Anyway, moving on. Your guys' turn. Who wants to go first?
I Nope. I do have a question for you because it does matter at this moment in time.
Yes.
Would you say for the Baron that I bared a terrible pain in someone's stead when I helped them achieve catharsis by processing their emotions simultaneously with them?
Yes, definitely.
Great. Then I've got an extra holy also too. I just want to make sure because it'll matter in
Yeah.
a second. I want to. Richard, how many hits do you have guns?
Just 1.
Just one. Not worth it. I'm just gonna try to stab this thing in the butt again.
No, okay.
17.
17, that hits. And with that, that's 4 wounds. You hear one last shriek, 3 combined voices. And the worm expires. You feel something cold leak out into the water around you. And a strange tingling sensation as it touches you. What do you all do?
That's a great question. Strange tingling sensation. I try to absorb all the tingling. If I get the sense that this is something physical, I will throw myself at the source of it, which I think is probably the worm at this point in time. If I think this is something supernatural, I will try to draw it into myself.
We'll play this out. You do that, and we will say you save everyone else in this respect.
Excellent.
But when it ends, only the Grave Gardener and the Wild Walker are standing in the dark. There was not a third with them. There never was. The two of them slayed the worm and defeated the other thing that was attacking them. The weeping cleric, there was never a weeping cleric. So, what do you do?
Do we still feel the cold, or is it
Not
gone?
anymore. The cold is gone.
And there's nothing else that's really here for us. They're just corpses.
Just corpses.
Oof. So this is a good time to admit that. Like do you have any secrets? Anything to tell me right now?
Oh, Mike.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh no,
Wait,
Richard.
like why would I need to tell you secrets right now?
I don't know. It's just something really unsettling just happened, and I'm trying to get my ways about myself again. Do you recall what just took place in any sort of capacity?
That we came down here and there was a fight. It bit me where my missing fingers have always been, and that hurt.
Oh, so you've never had those fingers, correct?
No. It's been a few years.
No
But
problem.
there's still like that phantom pain, and then the joint, like right where it would have joined, is achy, and when there's impact, like that hurts.
Well, we should probably take these bodies and get them properly buried upstairs.
Fair enough.
In the
Even
in
the
the,
water.
in the brown boneyard.
Yes.
Fair enough. And with that, we will we'll just say in short order, we will polish off this adventure with the bodies are buried, and you await in an empty house for the relic to arrive the next day. It does so, and whatever happens is perhaps not part of the story. And I think we'll call it there.
Jeez.
Sorry, I apologize if that got a little creepy right at the end.
No, it was
but,
great.
Yeah.
Spooky.
I feel like you had a really well thought out mystery adventure, and we were like, what if we just make breakfast a whole lot? Like, what if it's just brunch all day long?
Tony and I just
To be fair,
packed.
my favorite kind of adventures to run are mysteries because of that. Because it's like, well, I know we were talking about like actual plays or like during the break a little bit, but like it is that where it's like a mystery adventure will never feel like a mystery TV show or game or anything like, or video game or anything like that. It's a lot more real in that sense of like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But so does anybody have any questions? Because that wraps up the adventure.
I'll do the things. All right, let's do our reaction roll. Reaction roll is a live stream inside of a live stream. It's our chance to sit down with the creator of a game that we just played and talk to them about our experience playing that game. Today, we are playing As the Gods Demand, which is a level-less, I keep on wanting to say classless, which is the opposite of true. A level-less cleric system that's perfect to drop into any OSR fantasy game, even some of the more traditional D&D style RPGs out there. We are sitting down and playing it with Charles Ferguson-Avery, who is funding it as part of Zine Month, which comes to an end not tomorrow, but soon. Projects can't launch anymore after tomorrow, but theoretically they can extend into next month. Charlie, people who don't know your work already, tell them who you are, what you do, where they can find you online, and tell us a little bit about As the Gods Demand.
Hi, so Charles Ferguson-Avery, co-creator of Feral Indie Studios with Feral Indie Studio with Alex Coggin. We make games. We are illustrators by day. Do a little bit of like writing on the side, and you can find our stuff at Feral Indie Studio at itch.io. And as for As the Gods Demand, it's pretty much as Tony said, a way of putting in deities in a game where you get your powers by action, by doing things for your god, and basically just making it a little bit more weird, a little bit more niche, and a little bit more fun in that respect. And it works for pretty much every system. I mean, even this one, kind of.
It worked perfectly fine for this. Writing for Down We Go is a different way. It's super minimalist, and your stuff is so evocative in its writing. We can talk a little bit more about that offline, because I'd be happy to give you feedback on if you were going to try to do this in DWG, what I would write. But also, it doesn't matter because it's not a thing for that. It was really easy to take everything in it as somebody who knows the system inside and out and transfer it over. It's just you would need less words essentially, and so it's extracting those bits. But I think what you did was write something that's super evocative and super detailed, and so like the god descriptions, the requirements, how the holy worked, other different pieces like that, I 100% loved and was super excited to dive into. And that's always kind of the fun of figuring out how a system meshes in when something's super evocative and descriptive meets a kind of a minimalist rules light mindset. And there's really beautiful stuff that emerges in that space that I'd love to explore. So let's meet our other players and hear a little bit from them. Vic, why don't we start with you? Tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online, and tell us what it was like to play As the Gods Demand.
I'm Vic. I can be found major_tomorrow. I pretty much somehow survive while being spooky. That goes games, short stories, drawing, all across the board. And oh gosh, I have the thing that kind of sticks with me is I feel like I used the utility the whole time to make sure that I was going through all the powers and using them. And like I was holding on for the Bane of False Life for that like last moment. And then I was like, oh, what can we expect about the like, I guess the threshold of what is life and false life, especially since it's all themed around clerics?
Well, and here's the thing: is like I'm not gonna try to like have my nose in the air about this, but
Please
like
do.
I did design all of the the dogma of the gods to be like a little bit gray in a way, where I actually posted it somewhere like when I was giving like previews into stuff, and I actually had people in the argument, people not in the arguments, the comments arguing kind of about like they said like, hey, you should probably reword it this way so it sounds like this, but then somebody commented underneath like, well, no, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to like I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be written like that. And they were kind of like literally bouncing back and forth between what is the actual dogma and like rules of this god. And so I kind of intentionally want to keep it vague. Plus it's also like, I want to keep it at like, that's entirely up for each table to decide like what false life is, or what the kind of like specific nuances or rules of each each god is, because that's kind of the point in a weird way. If it was up to me, I'd say it's for vampires. It's how you touch a vampire and make it go away, right?
I didn't want the simple answer. I wanted all the squishies.
So it is like, it gets complicated of like, what is false life? And it's like,
And that is like at the end of the day, when people ask questions about like rulings versus rules, like that's the point. Like it's not intended to be a this is precisely how it works. Though after you do it one time, you may learn in the play of the game, like, oh, in our setting as we play, this is what this signifies, and I now know that every single time. But I think like that to me is one of the beautiful parts of the player character knowledge crossover, is your character can be learning that for the first time as you encounter new things, which lets you embrace wonder from the lens of your character in a really cool way that I think only OSR and some story games do, right? I don't think when games are mechanically rigid that they let you experience that kind of discovery and play in the same way.
There's actually a game, I believe it's still currently being written by Dave, goes by Mondave on Discord, a game called Not More Wizards, where that is actually built into it, where anytime you make a ruling, I hope I'm not spoiling. Dave, if you're watching, I'm sorry if I'm spoiling this. You didn't want it released, but like, anytime you make a ruling, you record it. That is law now. So it's actually all of a sudden it becomes this cooperative thing between players and like, referee of what is, what are the rules of this world. And yeah, like it's brilliant. I wish I could have come up with something like that.
Love it. Richard, how about you? Tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online, and what it was like for you to play the game.
Hey, I'm Richard Wayne. I founder of Our Rook Studio, creator of Barrakeep and the Funding Now Sherwood and Dragon Maw Cave and Moonlight on Roosevelt Beach. And you can find me. The easiest way to find me is on Twitter at ARR_ROO or at RRook on itch. And I have bought this, backed it, have not read the document yet. So I'm really kind of fascinated to know. I know that no one else listening or in this chat has ever experienced that, where you like have bought something, but it takes weeks, months before you actually get to sit down and look at it.
No, I do everything right away.
No,
yeah,
no. I'm a real designer.
I'm the person who's screwing up here.
God.
But I was really fascinated the way, and I don't know if this was something that was integrated into Down We Go, or if it's something that's sort of built in. I'm really fascinated by the way that your dogma factors into advancement and sort of enhancement of power. And we didn't have a chance, I think, to really see like the rejection of dogma or questioning your dogma or failing to live up to the dogma, like to see if that sort of like has a negative impact on your power. How does that factor in like in other systems you might use? So if you were using like Old School Essentials or the Black Hack, how would that sort of factor in? How would dogma sort of be part of like that sort of like tied into enhancing your power?
Well, it's so in the actual thing itself, so unfortunately it was kind of a little bit more designed for like OSE, DCC, for lack of a better term, like the 6 stat sort of games.
Oh yeah.
Because favor is a currency rather than like with Down We Go, it's like sort of built into. But with that, it's kind of a way to like integrate these like hard mechanics of like, these spells do this. You have this much favor and you can spend it on these miracles. But in order to get that, you have to role play it. So that was kind of like, it's kind of like a way to like integrate like, for lack of a better term, like it was a way to use role playing to get these hard mechanical things. And so like you have to role play these things, and that's where, the beauty of having a referee as part of the game to kind of say that kind of like goes against your dogma a little bit. It requires a little bit more bookkeeping on the referee's part, but it's also just kind of like meant to be something that like if you, the player, want to pursue this over the course of like many adventures, etc., you can, and here's what you have to do in order to do that. So it's it's kind of like a combo of like role playing and these like hard mechanics, rather than the cleric class in like 5e, DCC, etc., where you just get it.
Yeah, I really like that most of the things that came into our dogma were not abstract concepts. They were practical guidelines for living your life day to day. Like there were very few in them that I think if you had if a session that had multi like in play days, that you wouldn't see the majority of them come up.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, but they're always there, and you always gotta like,
Yeah. I've seen a few things kind of aim at that, but then they kind of give you these big abstract concepts like you must work to the overall good of society, and just like,
well, what does that mean? Like,
and like that's I think where you see people do things is like those that I actually can't follow a law. Like if somebody makes a law, I actually can't follow it, or I'm kind of poking at the edges of like what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Well, and beautifully, like you gave us, I hope intentionally, but if not, it's just great luck. 4 classes of which some were diametrically somewhat opposed to each other. Like
Absolutely.
a healing class and a desecration class.
That was intended.
Oh yeah, I figured.
But,
a lawbreaker class and a lawmaker class.
Yeah.
And so it was very cool. Even though we didn't see the lawmaker one, I was very tempted to take it just to see that contrary reality happening within play would have been a cool thing to explore.
I think the lawmaker one is actually, while I would consider them, they're technically not evil, but I do consider them one of the like not good gods. But that's only because of like, sort of like what I, Charles Ferguson-Avery, believe in. But they are still, despite that, like one of my favorites, because they have that like very interesting, like on the surface, it's like they're not bad. They're just about following the law and making sure other people follow the law. Yeah. But when you keep pushing that, and when you start pushing other people to like, be part of that, then they get really evil, and their powers can definitely be used for evil. But by the same stroke, kind of so can all the other gods. And that's not saying that like, some gods are evil, some aren't, because I tried to make something like very, very nuanced in that respect. Because one of my gripes with a lot of fantasy deities is there's always one that's coded as evil, there's always one coded as good, or they're all coded as like, they're all kind of evil, or all kind of good, or all kind of great. Instead, it's like I wanted to create some that were a lot more nuanced in that respect.
I love the flavor of the gods. I'm putting a couple of them up on the screen next to us just so people can get a sense. But it is as always, like this is an area in which your design style just tremendously shines, is the sandbox open space. In some ways, I feel like this one is more nailed down than almost anything else I've ever seen you make. Not in a sense of, not a bad way, but in a way of like, this is very tactical as opposed to very open. Like, and which I mean, you're making very intentional choices, both you as a designer as well as the player when they're making a choice around these things. There's less randomization. There's a lot of like open world stuff, even though it is very broad and you can choose to do what you want. This feels a lot more intentioned. I don't even know if that's the right word. I don't know if that makes sense though. Like it feels very directed in a way that a lot of your work doesn't. While all your work feels very intentional.
Yeah, no. It's the most, when it comes to like the projects I've done, like it is the most. I am trying to find the word for it. Like, because everything else. Oh, somebody's character just died.
Yeah, that was mine.
No,
sorry.
Which, by the way, one of my favorite rules in Down We Go is that if the dice hits the floor, but it is the most like kind of like I will say like hard mechanic thing I've created, because like everything else is like, it's a lot of like randomization, it's a lot of tables. It's actually mostly been kind of settings in a lot of respect. And this one is still kind of a setting because it's, it's a place with gods, and these gods have sort of like pilgrimage sites and stuff. but it's actually but it is the most like thing focused around mechanics that I've created so far, and it was weird. Was like, but it was also fun. I'm glad I made it, and yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. I had an absolute blast playing. I loved exploring all the different aspects of it. I loved all the different pieces. It also like it's always interesting to me when writing something makes me think about my character. Like I have certainly written down a spice or two in a character's pack before. I don't know that I've ever been like, you know, this character's just got the white robes they wear, a weird knife, some ointments. Like I had healing potions and stuff, but I was like, what if they just had a bunch of spices in the rest of the thing? Because like this is an aiding, supportive, healing class, and I'm like, so what are the other things that they would end up doing with their time? And I was like, oh, mine's just like the cook for the place that they live in, and that's what they spend a lot of time. And like that was it, right? But there was almost an immediate conceit to take less traditional adventuring stuff with me as part of that, which was really interesting. Which, you know, whether or not that was just a weird mood I was in today or whether that's because of the writing, whoever knows. But like, it is kind of singular to be like, it puts you in a different spot when thinking about the way that you make your character, I think, to play specifically in this and to play with a party where you're like, yeah, everyone's going to be mostly clerics. Like we're going to ignore all the other things in this. Like I took one level of bloodthirsty. I don't know if anybody else took. What did you take? What did you take, Vic?
I took bloodthirsty too.
Okay, yeah, I took one level of bloodthirsty, two of holy. But like I would say in play on average, holy is the class that gets the least play, even though it's super tremendously helpful in your average dungeon to have a cleric with you. People are attracted to bloodthirsty and mystical and sneaky, and down we go far more. So I loved seeing that get flexed because I'll take levels in holy all day long and shatter undead and, you know, fix defilements and stuff like that.
Which, by the way, everybody had fun?
Yes.
Oh yeah, tremendously.
Okay, good.
Yes,
I do.
100%.
I think I want to know something that doesn't matter because we can talk about the. Actually, there are a couple of things I do want to talk about. My system question is, you have some kind of real world inspiration in this, while largely having largely taking them in either a different direction or creating new things. Where did you draw inspiration from for this, and what was it like for you as a designer to be playing around with the idea of religiosity, especially for things that may have a real world influence?
So I did try to like I was very cautious when like I created the gods, because like it's on one hand, like, I have my own sort of like beliefs, shall we say, but like I didn't want this to be like some sort of like crass like damnation of like gods are bad, like not like, because it's not that, like they are like I wanted them to be nuanced, because there is a lot of nuance with it, like with real world religion, and in the respect of like the sort of the background I have in it, like I technically don't have the degree in it because of various school and the way the credit system worked at my school, but art history, specifically early Christian and then Gothic art history, of seeing, as like my professor did a fantastic job of it described, watching how a religion was born, in a way, like where it came from, where it like has its roots, and where how history impacted it, and like with that, like how complicated it was, and like how all that, and then on top of that, there was this one blog post by I believe it was Flaming Sword of Doom or something. It was like an old OSR post where they actually have a genuine degree in like I think theological studies or something like that, where they talk about how religion, when it's written in fantasy games, is done wildly incorrectly, and like how a lot of like these religions sort of like function, and how if we wanted to make the cleric class better, how we would do that based on like this graduate level understanding of how, you know, faith and religion sort of function in a community, in a society, in sort of a worldly aspect. And I read that 3 years ago. It's been sitting in my mind, festering ever since. And finally, I had the chance to do something with it because, like, yeah, so that blog post was like a bolt of lightning in that respect. And so I just went back to all my old notes that I had for like art history, for, you know, early Christian art, Gothic, etc., and sort of like spread out what I knew. Admittedly, the gods in the book, in the zine, have a very, like, I want to say they're a little Western Catholic inspired, especially Santa Shar, like the healing one is very like saint-like. I try to, like, you know, take a little bit more of a worldly approach to them, but at the same time, you know, I'm only playing with the tools I know, so I ran with the tools I knew to make sure that I wouldn't, like, make something offensive accidentally. Didn't want to do that, so just, you know, write what I knew.
Oh, I love it. So my other question is, so what was going on?
Oh, so a fourth. Oh yeah, so there was actually a fourth person that was there. The call was inside the house. There was a cultist snuck in, was hanging out down there with its pet worm, which is actually, you can find out the god. They were a worshiper of the god Om, the ever-gnawing, which you can also find in As the Gods Demand. They are, well, seven of the 8 gods are very nuanced and kind of like interesting, and they can go many different ways. I also wanted to do that one that was pretty much like Nyarlathotep or Cthulhu or something like that. So I made a giant doom worm deity called Om, and that's the one that was hanging out in the basement.
And I love this. Did all of our secret roles just say you are not the murderer? As soon as we clicked on them, I was like, I wonder if there's any difference between in these things or not, and didn't expect that to actually be the case, but am delighted that it was actually the case.
Oh, okay. I didn't check it. That's good to know.
I didn't either. I was just curious. I was like, huh.
Yeah.
I had the same suspicion, but I was also like, this is also a really wonderful
mechanic,
like, you know, meta level mechanic.
Yeah. It's a good
mystery.
Yeah, it's a good tech piece to just drop into anything.
I can only use it once, so congratulations! I did it for all of you.
I mean, that's kind of not. So one of the cool things about this tech piece would be also if you didn't know, kind of, right? Like you could be like, you could have put a fourth one in there and then just like, I mean, like randomize it. You would probably want to look, but like, be like, there's a chance it is one of you, there's a chance it's none of you, there's a chance it's 2 of you. You know, like if you pulled from a thing of 6 randomly, you could theoretically at a table distribute that in a way where you just don't know. It makes it a lot
more of just a this was more of just a trick, but like that would be a different adventure.
I would say in an OSR setting it's a lot harder. In a story game setting it's very doable.
Oh yeah.
And so
outside of a one shot it's difficult because then you know each other's players and then you're sort of taking my player agency away or theoretically.
Right.
But in a one shot it's a beautiful mechanic.
Yeah. And so no, it was such a great tension builder as well to add those pieces in. I had a blast. I love that my character got obliterated from all memory at the end of the
sorry about that.
no, it was my choice. I mean, like it fit what my obligations for my character is. Like, we don't know what this is, something's happening, my character takes harm before allowing others to take harm, so like that's their whole bit. And so when you guys got back up to the kitchen, you just found a tear-shaped decanter up there. You can't quite figure out where it was from in the kitchen.
Who made these omelets?
Oh, the omelets are not there anymore. That raccoon ate all of them.
Yeah. But no, I had an absolute blast. I want to encourage people, you can go to ttrpg.link/demandgame to check it out. Vic, Richard, any final questions?
Is this something Tony said? Is this one of the first sort of player-facing things you've done, Charlie? Have I missed something? Like,
yeah, I think so. Like,
that's really kind of focused on getting player rules out there.
I did do They Cried Monster, but that kind of that goes both ways. Like that's kind of more of like both player and GM setting. But this is like the most I think technically the most player-facing thing I've made so
Right.
far.
And that may be like player agency driven. That may be the best way to describe the difference between this and the other things you've written that we were kind of trying to figure out what earlier.
I think that's because like a lot of the time I do GMing, so like
Right.
this is like
Yeah.
this is a little foreign territory to me. Like,
But this is 100% the type of stuff I love to play around with, and it was something we saw a lot of in Zine Quest this year. Was a lot more religiously themed games, and I love seeing that coming out in the space, but both by people who have a faith and as well as people who have a level of agnosticism or atheism around it, because I feel like there's a lot of considerate realities being explored within that that are just very, very cool. Cool. As always, the artwork on this is gorgeous. I'm so thrilled by every single page of this thing, and the sacred objects and becoming a relic, the path to godhood that's included in here, the little bits of monsters, other miscellaneous ways to gain favor, I think are all just tremendous. And so I'm super looking forward to diving more into it, to working in. It'll certainly make an appearance in more Down We Go stuff in the future also too, because it's got really strong vibes. Richard, before we go, and before I talk a little bit about our stuff, tell people a little bit about Sherwood.
Sherwood is a game that is based on some traveler-inspired mechanics I put together for my game Enoch's Wake last year. And the whole time I was finishing up those mechanics, I was like, I need to do something else with this. And then I put up a Twitter poll about what I should do, and then I went with the thing that got the least votes.
oh my god!
Which is to make a Robin Hood game, which is the as soon as I wrote it and I started, and it had a brief lead early on, I was like, no, that's the it's very kind of career life path driven, because everybody kind of comes to Sherwood. I'm watching a ton of Robin Hood media now and going back, but the origin story is always like you were coming from somewhere else. And you were forced to become an outlaw. So some of those kind of traveler inspired life path things are coming in there, and then it's also kind of allowed me to kind of go back and revisit Enoch's Wake mechanics that would work better for like this. There's no longer individual resources because you're living in the woods. What are you going to use individual resources for? So there's group resources, getting to play with some fun Robin Hood story things like disguises. So that is Sherwood. It is in process. There is a draft of character creation and how to play up. And there's more coming out today, and then I switch over and write the GMing section and a couple of small adventures, and that will be the zine. And somehow it's come in way shorter than Enoch's Wake ever did. So,
I love it.
All killer, no filler.
That's right.
yeah. And part of that is like for most part, most people buying know Robin Hood. I don't need to explain what the concept is on a fundamental. So.
We still have 13 Hunters live. You can go to ttrpg.link/13h to go check that out. Also, Zeke from Dice Drinks Drama just did an amazing video about that. It was a super cool piece. And then coming up this week, we've got the Together We Jam game jam launching. This is games based on Down We Go, Through the Void, dungeondelvers.tv, or just the system that powers them. Totally original games. It's great if you want to hop into game design for the first time, or if you're an experienced designer who wants to mess around in the OSR, whether that's with a standalone content piece that can merge into those games, or whether it's something that is connected to content that already exists. And so please check that out at ttrpg.link/twjam. Would love to have y'all hop in on there. People are starting to get excited, ask questions, and explore the Together We Go system. So please come join us for that. We don't have a good way that we end these streams. So until next time, we're just going to wave at the camera until I take us offline. Bye, everybody. Thanks, y'all.